master communication. The invisible skill. Your words don't matter, your energy does. And for the next 3.5 hours, I'm going to prove something to you that will change every relationship you have, every conversation you enter, and quite possibly your entire life. Most people spend their entire lives talking, but almost no one knows how to actually communicate. Here's the truth that nobody tells you. 93% of communication is nonverbal. 93%. That means the actual words you say account for only 7% of your message. The rest? It's your tone, your body language, your energy, the unspoken layers beneath everything you say. And here's what makes this even more critical. Poor communication doesn't just create awkward moments. It destroys relationships. It kills careers. It costs businesses $37 billion annually. $37 billion. That's not a typo. That's the measurable cost of people not knowing how to communicate effectively. But here's the question that should terrify you and excite you at the same time. What if you've been taught to communicate backwards your entire life? What if everything you think you know about how to talk to people, how to be heard, how to connect, what if all of it is wrong? Because here's what I've discovered after studying communication for over a decade, working with thousands of people from CEOs to couples on the brink of divorce. The people who succeed, who have deep relationships, who get promoted, who resolve conflicts easily, who command rooms, they're not doing what everyone else is doing. They've learned something different, something most people never figure out. And that's what this masterclass is about. In the next 3.5 hours, you're going to master every aspect of communication. Not just talking, not just public speaking, not just networking, everything. How to read people, how to be charismatic, how to handle conflict, how to give feedback, how to negotiate, how to set boundaries, how to influence without manipulating, how to connect deeply, how to communicate in relationships, at work, in public, online, all of it. This is the one skill that determines everything. Your income, your relationships, your happiness, your influence, your peace of mind. Everything traces back to how well you communicate. And most people are terrible at it. Not because they're not smart, not because they're not trying, but because nobody ever taught them how. Think about it. You spent years in school learning math, science, history. How many hours did you spend learning how to actually communicate? How to listen deeply? How to resolve conflict? How to speak with confidence? How to read body language? How to navigate difficult conversations? Probably zero. Maybe you took a public speaking class. Maybe you read a book on confidence. But comprehensive communication training never happened. And so we stumble through life, hurting people we love, being misunderstood at work, avoiding conversations we need to have, saying yes when we mean no, staying silent when we should speak up, talking when we should listen. And we wonder why our relationships are shallow, why our careers are stalled, why we feel disconnected and anxious and frustrated. Here's the promise I'm making you. By the end of this masterclass, you will understand communication at a level that 99% of people never will. You'll know how to enter any conversation with confidence. You'll know how to read what people aren't saying. You'll know how to resolve conflict without destroying relationships. You'll know how to influence ethically. You'll know how to connect deeply and authentically. But I need to be honest with you about something. This is not going to be comfortable. We're going to talk about things that make you squirm. Your communication blind spots. The ways you push people away without realizing it. The conversations you're avoiding. The boundaries you're not setting. The truth you're not speaking. And here's what's going to happen. Some of you will watch all 3.5 hours and change nothing. You'll nod along. You'll think, that's interesting. And then you'll go back to the same patterns that have been keeping you stuck. Because knowing and doing are not the same thing. But some of you, maybe you, are going to have one of those moments where something clicks, where you suddenly see yourself clearly, where you realize, oh my God, this is why I keep having the same conflicts. This is why people don't listen to me. This is why I feel so drained after conversations. This is why my relationships feel shallow, and everything changes. Not overnight, not magically, but progressively. One conversation at a time, one boundary at a time, one connection at a time. You start communicating differently, and your entire life shifts. I've seen it hundreds of times. The shy engineer who becomes a confident leader, the aggressive manager who learns to lead with both strength and kindness, the people pleaser who finally learns to say no, the couple on the brink who learns to actually hear each other, the professional who finally gets the promotion they deserve because they learned how to advocate for themselves. These aren't special people. They're people who learned what you're about to learn. They practiced. They implemented. They transformed. So here's how this is going to work. We're going deep. First, we're going to uncover the hidden language of communication, the layers beneath the words, your communication DNA, the unspoken rules everyone follows but nobody teaches. Then, we're going into the psychology of connection, how to listen like a master, how to read body language, how to develop charisma that's authentic, not fake. After that, we tackle the hard stuff, difficult conversations, conflict, feedback, saying no without guilt. The conversations most people avoid their entire lives. Then public speaking and presentations, because commanding a room is a learnable skill. Then influence and persuasion done ethically. How to change minds without manipulation. How to negotiate so everyone wins. Then we get specific. Relationship communication, because intimate relationships require different skills. Professional scenarios like interviews and networking. Then advanced mastery, voice training, dealing with toxic people, digital communication in the modern world. And finally, your personal transformation blueprint. The 30-day challenge that will make all of this real. There's a complete workbook available. You'll want to download it now. Link is in the description. This isn't just a watch and forget video. This is a workshop, a transformation experience. You're going to do exercises. You're going to practice. You're going to customize everything to your life. Throughout this masterclass, there are going to be pause moments. When I say pause, actually pause the video, reflect on the question, do the exercise. If you just keep watching without implementing, you're turning transformation into entertainment. Don't do that to yourself. Here's my invitation. For the next 3.5 hours, go all in. Turn off notifications. Close the other tabs. Get your workbook. Get a notebook. This is your time. Your investment in the one skill that affects literally everything else in your life. Your future self is watching right now. The version of you 1 year from now who has deep, meaningful relationships, who speaks up confidently, who handles conflict with grace, who gets what they ask for, who connects authentically, who leads with presence. That version of you is wondering if you're finally going to do this, if you're finally going to learn the skill that changes everything. Communication is not about being extroverted. It's not about being charming or funny or clever. It's about being intentional. It's about understanding what's really happening in every interaction. It's about having the tools to navigate any conversation with any person in any situation. And you're about to get those tools. All of them. Everything you need to become an exceptional communicator. Someone people want to talk to. Someone people trust. Someone who makes others feel heard and valued. Someone who can influence, inspire, and connect at the highest level. This is the skill that determines your life, and you're about to master it. Let's begin. Act 1. The hidden language. The communication paradox. Everything you've been taught about communication is backwards. We've been trained to focus on what we say, to choose our words carefully, to craft the perfect message. But here's the paradox that nobody tells you. The more you focus on your words, the less people actually hear you. The more you talk, the less you're heard. Let me show you why. There's a listening crisis happening right now, and most people don't even realize it. The average person listens at only 25% efficiency. 25%. That means in any conversation, 3/4 of what you say is being missed, distorted, or completely ignored. Not because people don't care, but because nobody knows how to actually listen anymore. We're all waiting for our turn to talk. We're formulating our response while the other person is still speaking. We're checking our phones. We're thinking about what we need to do later. We're anywhere except fully present in the conversation. And when someone finally stops talking, we jump in immediately with our point, our story, our opinion. We're not communicating. We're taking turns broadcasting. Now here's what makes this even more complex. Every single conversation has 7 layers happening simultaneously. Most people are only aware of 1 or 2. But if you want to truly master communication, you need to understand all 7. Layer 1 is words, the actual content of what's being said. This is what most people focus on exclusively. But remember, this is only 7% of the total message. 7%. So if you're only paying attention to words, you're missing 93% of what's actually happening. Layer 2 is tone. How something is said matters more than what is said. Tone accounts for 38% of your message. The same sentence can mean completely different things depending on tone. I'm fine, said with a warm tone, means I'm genuinely okay. I'm fine, said with a cold, clipped tone, means I'm absolutely not fine, and you should know that. The words are identical. The message is opposite. Layer 3 is body language. This is 55% of communication, more than half. Your posture, your gestures, your facial expressions, where you're looking, how you're standing. All of this is broadcasting a message louder than any words you say. You can say you're interested while your body screams that you're bored. You can say you're confident while your body shows you're terrified. And people believe the body, not the words. Always. Layer 4 is emotional subtext. What you're really saying beneath the words. When someone says I'm fine, but their tone and body language say otherwise, the emotional subtext is I'm hurt and I want you to notice and care. When someone says it's not a big deal, the subtext might be it actually is a big deal to me and I need you to validate that. Most arguments happen because people are responding to words while ignoring the emotional subtext. Layer 5 is intent. Why are you saying this? What are you trying to accomplish with this communication? Are you trying to connect, to win, to be right, to hurt, to protect yourself, to impress? Your intent shapes everything. And here's the problem. Most people's intent in conversation is to win, to be right, to look good, not to connect, not to understand. And that intent leaks through every layer, even when you think you're hiding it. Layer 6 is context. The situation surrounding the conversation. Is this happening at work or at home? In public or private? At the beginning of a relationship or after years together? After a good day or a terrible one? When both people are rested or when everyone's exhausted? Context changes everything. The same words in different contexts have completely different meanings and impacts. Layer 7 is relationship history. Everything that's happened between these two people before this moment. Every past conversation, every conflict, every connection, every wound, every joy. All of it is present in this current conversation, whether you acknowledge it or not. When you say something to your partner, they're not just hearing your words. They're hearing them through the filter of every time you've had this conversation before, every promise kept or broken, every hurt given or healed. These 7 layers are operating in every single conversation you have. Every single one. And most people are only consciously aware of one. The words. So they wonder why they're constantly misunderstood. Why their relationships are shallow. Why conflicts escalate so quickly. Because they're communicating on one layer while the other person is reacting to all 7. Now take a moment and think about your last argument, not just any disagreement. The last real argument you had. Can you see these 7 layers? What were the words being said? But what was the tone communicating? What was the body language showing? What was the emotional subtext? What was each person's intent? What was the context? What relationship history was being triggered? If you can see all 7 layers, you can suddenly understand why that argument happened. And more importantly, you can prevent it next time. Here's the revelation that changes everything. Most people communicate to win, to be right, to prove their point, to defend themselves, to look good. And that intent poisons every layer of communication. Because when your intent is to win, the other person feels it. They feel that they're being defeated. They feel that you care more about being right than about understanding them. And so they defend, they attack, they withdraw. And the conversation spirals. But when your intent shifts from winning to connecting, everything changes. When your goal is to understand rather than to be understood, when you prioritize the relationship over being right, when you communicate to build bridges rather than to construct arguments, people feel that too. And they open up, they soften, they actually listen. Let me tell you about a CEO I worked with. He was brilliant, sharp, always the smartest person in the room. And he lost a $10 million deal because he couldn't resist being right. The potential client had a misconception about the product, a small one. It didn't even affect the deal. But the CEO couldn't let it go. He had to correct them. Had to show them they were wrong. He was right, by the way, factually correct. But he destroyed the relationship in the process, because his intent wasn't to serve or connect. It was to demonstrate his intelligence. And the client felt disrespected, talked down to. The deal fell through. $10 million gone because he chose being right over connecting. That's the communication paradox. The more you try to win, the more you lose. The more you talk, the less you're heard. The more you focus on your words, the less your message lands. Because real communication isn't about transmitting information. It's about creating connection. It's about being fully present to all 7 layers. It's about caring more about understanding than being understood. This is the foundation everything else builds on. If you don't get this, nothing else works. Your communication DNA. Now that you understand the 7 layers, let's figure out how you actually communicate. Because everyone has a unique communication style, a pattern, a default way of interacting that shows up in every conversation. I call this your communication DNA, and once you identify yours, you can start leveraging your strengths and managing your blind spots. Most personality tests tell you about your personality, but they don't tell you how you actually communicate. That's what we're about to uncover. There are 5 core communication archetypes. Most people have a primary and a secondary. As I describe each one, notice which one feels like home, not which one you want to be, which one you actually are. Archetype 1 is the hammer. Direct, blunt, results-driven. Hammers cut through nonsense. They say what needs to be said without sugarcoating. They're efficient, clear, decisive. They get things done. When you need a quick decision or a tough call made, you want a hammer. Their strength is clarity. You always know where you stand with a hammer. No games, no hidden meanings. They communicate to achieve outcomes, and they're very good at it. But here's the shadow side. Hammers can be insensitive. They can miss emotional cues entirely. They can steamroll people without realizing it. They value results over feelings, which makes them effective, but sometimes damaging. They can come across as harsh, cold, or uncaring, even when that's not their intent. And they struggle with people who need more emotional processing or who communicate indirectly. Hammers work best with architects and other hammers in short bursts, but they need to be careful with mirrors who they can easily hurt, and with performers who they might dismiss as superficial. Archetype 2 is the mirror. Empathetic, reflective, feeling-focused. Mirrors absorb everyone's emotions. They feel what you feel. They're deeply attuned to emotional nuance, to what's not being said, to how people are really doing beneath the surface. They create safe spaces. They make people feel heard and understood like no one else can. Their superpower is emotional intelligence. They know what you need before you do. But the shadow side is real. Mirrors can lose themselves in other people. They over-accommodate. They struggle to set boundaries because they feel everyone's pain and want to fix it. They can become enmeshed, codependent, drained. They say yes when they mean no because they can't stand the discomfort of disappointing someone. And they often neglect their own needs while taking care of everyone else. Mirrors work well with everyone because they adapt, but they desperately need to learn boundaries or they'll burn out. Archetype 3 is the architect. Logical, structured, detail-oriented. Architects build systems. They think in frameworks. They want data, evidence, clear reasoning. They're thorough, organized, precise. When you need something done right with no errors, you want an architect. They communicate to clarify and organize. Their strength is clear thinking. They can untangle complex problems and create structure from chaos. The shadow is rigidity. Architects can be overly focused on being correct. They can miss emotional nuances entirely because they're focused on logic. They can be inflexible, resistant to change, dismissive of feelings as irrelevant data. They can frustrate people who need emotional validation before they can engage with logic. Architects work well with hammers who appreciate their precision and with sages who value their depth. But they clash with mirrors who they see as too emotional and performers who they see as too surface level. Archetype 4 is the performer. Charismatic, entertaining, story-driven. Performers light up a room. They're engaging, memorable, magnetic. They communicate through stories, humor, energy. They make everything interesting. They inspire people. They're natural networkers, natural salespeople, natural entertainers. Their strength is connection at scale. They can captivate an audience, any audience. The shadow is depth. Performers can be superficial. They can prioritize being liked over being authentic. They can struggle with serious, heavy conversations because they want to keep things light. They can be attention-seeking, making everything about them. They can avoid difficult emotions by performing instead of feeling. Performers work well with mirrors who appreciate their warmth, and other performers who match their energy. But they need to be careful not to exhaust sages and architects who find their energy draining. Archetype 5 is the sage. Wise, patient, question-asking. Sages don't tell you what to do. They ask questions that help you figure it out yourself. They're thoughtful, deep, reflective. They see layers others miss. They develop people. They guide without controlling. Their strength is wisdom. They help people grow. They create space for insight. The shadow is indirectness. Sages can be frustratingly slow. They can avoid being direct when directness is what's needed. They can ask so many questions that people feel interrogated or manipulated. They can be seen as evasive or uncommitted because they rarely take strong positions. Sages work well with mirrors who appreciate their gentleness and architects who value their depth. But they can frustrate hammers who want direct answers and confuse performers who prefer clarity over complexity. Now here's what you need to understand. You're not just one type. You have a primary archetype that shows up most of the time. And you have a secondary that emerges in certain situations or with certain people. Maybe you're a hammer at work, but a mirror at home. Maybe you're a performer in groups, but a sage one-on-one. The combinations create your unique communication fingerprint. And here's the game changer. Once you know your archetype, you can learn to flex, to temporarily adopt another style when the situation calls for it. If you're a hammer talking to a mirror, you can soften your directness and increase your empathy. If you're a mirror with a hammer, you can be more direct and skip the emotional processing they don't need. If you're an architect with a performer, you can add some story and energy to your data. This is fluency. Communication mastery isn't being stuck in one style. It's knowing all five and choosing which to use in any moment. Let me tell you how this saved a marriage. Couple came to me on the brink. He was a hammer. She was a mirror. Every conversation was a disaster. He'd be direct and solution-focused. She'd feel steamrolled and hurt. She'd want to process feelings. He'd feel like they were going in circles and nothing was getting resolved. They both thought the other was broken. He thought she was too emotional and slow. She thought he was cold and uncaring. Neither was true. They just had different communication, DNA. Once they understood this, everything shifted. He learned to slow down, acknowledge her feelings first, before jumping to solutions. She learned to give him the bottom line up front, then add emotional context after. They weren't trying to change each other. They were learning to speak each other's language. The marriage transformed, not because the problems disappeared, but because they could finally communicate through them. That's the power of understanding communication DNA. Yours and everyone else's. The unspoken rules. Now we go deeper, because beneath everything we've talked about, there's another conversation happening, an invisible one. Most people are completely unaware of it, but it's actually the most important conversation. And once you learn to see it, you'll never look at communication the same way again. Every single conversation, whether you realize it or not, is answering 3 fundamental questions. 3 questions that determine whether the conversation succeeds or fails, whether connection happens or breakdown occurs. These questions operate beneath conscious awareness, but they're always there, always being evaluated, always being answered. Question 1. Am I safe with you? This is the most primal question. Your nervous system is constantly scanning for safety or threat. If someone feels unsafe with you, nothing else matters. They won't hear you. They won't trust you. They'll defend, attack, or withdraw. Safety isn't just about physical safety, it's emotional safety, psychological safety. Will you hurt me? Will you judge me? Will you use my vulnerability against me? Will you betray my trust? If the answer to "Am I safe with you?" is no, communication shuts down immediately. Question 2. Do you respect me? Once safety is established, we need respect. Do you value my perspective even if you disagree? Do you treat me as an equal? Do you dismiss my concerns or take them seriously? Do you talk down to me or with me? Respect isn't about agreeing. It's about honoring someone's worth, their experience, their right to their own views. When respect is missing, people feel demeaned, belittled, and they either fight back or check out. Question 3. Can I trust you? This is about consistency and reliability. Do you do what you say you'll do? Are you honest? Do your words match your actions? Do you keep confidences? Trust isn't built in one conversation. It's built over time through repeated proof. But it can be destroyed in one moment. And once trust is broken, rebuilding it requires enormous effort and time. These 3 questions create a hierarchy. Safety first. Without safety, nothing else is possible. Then respect. Without respect, trust can't form. Then trust. And trust is what allows real depth, real vulnerability, real connection. Most communication failures happen because one of these 3 questions is being answered negatively, and the people involved don't even realize it. Here's another framework that explains what's happening beneath the surface. There's a hierarchy of human needs in communication. It mirrors Maslow's hierarchy, but applies specifically to conversations. The foundation is safety. We need to feel safe to engage at all. If this is missing, we're in survival mode. Fight, flight, or freeze. We can't process complex information. We can't be creative. We can't be open. We're just trying to protect ourselves. Once safety exists, we need belonging. We need to feel like we're part of something, like we're included, like we matter to this person or group. Belonging isn't just nice to have. It's a fundamental human need. When we feel we don't belong, we experience it as pain. Actual physical pain in the brain. Once belonging is established, we need significance. We need to know that our unique contribution matters, that we're not just interchangeable, that who we are specifically is valued. This is where respect lives. When people feel insignificant in a conversation, they either overcompensate by talking more, dominating, attention-seeking, or they withdraw completely. The highest level is growth. Once we feel safe, like we belong, and that we're significant, we can actually learn. We can be challenged. We can receive feedback. We can change. But you cannot skip the lower levels and go straight to growth. If someone doesn't feel safe or respected, and you try to give them constructive feedback, it will land as an attack no matter how well you phrase it. Now let's talk about something most people completely undervalue. Small talk. We dismiss it as shallow, as a waste of time, as something to skip so we can get to real conversation. But small talk isn't small. It's essential. It's the social lubricant that allows deeper conversation to happen. Small talk establishes safety. It shows we can coexist peacefully. It creates belonging through shared experience, even if that experience is just commenting on the weather. It demonstrates respect by acknowledging someone's presence. Think of small talk as the warm-up before the workout. You wouldn't lift your maximum weight without warming up your muscles first. You'd get injured. Same with conversation. You can't go straight to deep, vulnerable, challenging topics without warming up the relationship first. Small talk is that warm-up. It's how we establish baseline safety and rapport before we venture into anything more meaningful. Here's something that will blow your mind. Your brain makes a judgment about someone in 0.07 seconds, 7/100ths of a second. Before you've consciously processed anything, your brain has already decided if this person is safe, if you like them, if you trust them. This is called thin slicing, and it's based on tiny micro-expressions, body language cues, tone, energy, all processed unconsciously in a fraction of a second. Now here's what matters. People forget your words. They remember how you made them feel. This is not poetic. This is neuroscience. The emotional content of an interaction is stored in a different part of the brain than factual content. Emotional memories are stronger, more vivid, longer lasting. Which means if you make someone feel bad, even if you're factually right, they will remember the feeling and associate it with you. Forever. And if you make someone feel good, even if they don't remember exactly what you said, they'll remember the feeling and want to be around you again. This is why you can have a perfect logical argument, win every point, be completely correct, and still lose the relationship. Because you cared more about being right than about how the other person felt. And they'll remember the feeling of being demolished, not the facts you were correct about. There's also something called cultural communication codes that most people ignore. High context versus low context cultures. In low context cultures like the United States, Germany, Scandinavia, communication is explicit. Say what you mean what you say. Direct is good. In high context cultures like Japan, China, many Middle Eastern and Latin American countries, communication is implicit. What's not said matters as much as what is said. Direct confrontation is rude. Relationship and context determine meaning. If you're from a low-context culture talking to someone from a high-context culture, you can accidentally offend by being too direct. They experience your directness as aggression. And if you're from a high-context culture talking to someone from a low-context culture, they might think you're being unclear or dishonest because you're not being explicit enough. Neither is wrong. They're just different codes. And if you don't know the code the other person is using, you will miscommunicate constantly. There are also unwritten rules about professional versus personal communication. At work, we're supposed to be more formal, more buttoned up, more careful. In personal relationships, we're supposed to be more authentic, more vulnerable, more relaxed. But here's what people mess up. They bring professional distance into personal relationships, and their partners feel shut out. Or they bring personal casualness into professional settings, and colleagues feel it's inappropriate. Knowing which mode to use in which context is crucial. All of these unspoken rules are operating constantly beneath every conversation you have. Safety, respect, trust, the hierarchy of needs, the power of feelings over facts, cultural codes, context switching. Most people are completely oblivious to all of it. They just know that communication feels hard, that they're misunderstood, that conversations go wrong and they don't know why. But now you know. You can see what's invisible to most people. You can start operating at a level most people never reach. Because you understand what's really happening beneath the surface of every conversation. This is the hidden language. And now you speak it. Act 2. The psychology of connection. The art of deep listening. Now we move from understanding communication to mastering the single most powerful communication skill that exists. Listening. Real listening. Not the fake version most people do. Not waiting for your turn to talk. Not planning your response while someone else is speaking. Deep, transformative, connected listening that changes relationships. Here's what you need to understand first. Listening is not a passive activity. It's not something that just happens while you sit there. Real listening is active, intentional, effortful. It requires you to set aside your own agenda, your own stories, your own need to be heard, and fully focus on understanding another human being. And almost nobody does this. Ever. Let me show you the 5 levels of listening. Most people operate at level 1 or 2 their entire lives and wonder why their relationships are shallow. Level 1 is ignoring. You're not listening at all. You're physically present, but mentally gone. Thinking about something else. Looking at your phone. Clearly disengaged. When someone is talking and you're at level 1, they feel it immediately. They feel invisible, unimportant, dismissed. Level 2 is pretending. You're faking it. Making the right noises, nodding at the right times, but you're not actually hearing anything. You're performing listening without doing it. People can sense this. They might not call you out, but they know. And they stop sharing real things with you, because what's the point? Level 3 is selective listening. You're hearing only what you want to hear. The parts that confirm your existing beliefs, or the parts you can use in your response, or the parts that relate to you. Everything else gets filtered out. This is where most people live. They think they're listening, but they're actually just scanning for relevant information while ignoring the rest. Level 4 is attentive listening. You're actually hearing the words. You're processing the content. You understand what's being said on a factual level. This is good. This is better than most people ever achieve. But it's still not enough for real connection, because you're still just focused on the words, the top layer, and missing everything underneath. Level 5 is empathetic listening. This is where mastery begins. You're not just hearing words, you're understanding emotion. You're sensing what's not being said. You're picking up on the subtext, the meaning beneath the meaning. You're trying to see the situation from their perspective, to feel what they're feeling. This is the level where transformation happens, where people feel truly heard, where connection deepens. Now let me give you a framework that will immediately upgrade your listening from wherever you are to level 5. It's called RASA. 4 letters that will change how you communicate forever. R is for receive. Give your full attention, not partial attention. Full. Turn toward the person. Put your phone away. Don't just put it down, actually put it away. Close your laptop. Stop whatever else you're doing. Make eye contact. Show with your entire body that you are receiving what they're saying. This is radical in a world where everyone is half present all the time. Just this first step will make you stand out. A is for appreciate. Show that you're listening. Nod. Make small verbal acknowledgments. I see. Okay. Tell me more. These aren't interruptions. They're confirmations. They tell the speaker you're with them, tracking them, engaged. Without these signals, people feel like they're talking into a void. They start to doubt if you're listening, and they either talk more to convince themselves you care, or they shut down. S is for summarize. Reflect back what you heard. Not word for word like a parrot, but the essence. So what I'm hearing is, it sounds like you're saying, let me make sure I understand, you're feeling. This does 2 powerful things. First, it confirms to them that you actually heard them correctly. Second, It gives them a chance to clarify if you misunderstood. Most conflicts happen because of misunderstandings that never get clarified. Summarizing prevents this. A is for ask. Deepen your understanding. Ask questions that help them go deeper. Tell me more about that. What was that like for you? How did that make you feel? What else? These questions aren't about gathering information for you. They're about helping the other person process and articulate their own experience. Often, people don't know what they think or feel until someone asks them good questions. Use RASA in every conversation for the next week and watch what happens. People will literally tell you, "I feel so heard by you. I don't know what it is, but talking to you is different." They won't necessarily know why, but you'll know. It's because you're operating at level 5, while everyone else in their life is at level 2. Now let's talk about the power of silence, the 3-second pause that changes everything. When someone finishes speaking, we have this compulsion to fill the silence immediately. We jump in with our response, but here's what you need to do instead. Pause. For 3 full seconds. Count them in your head. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Then respond. This pause does something magical. First, it gives the speaker space to add more if they want to. Often the most important thing they need to say comes after what they thought was the end. Second, it shows you're actually thinking about what they said, not just reacting. Third, it creates a rhythm in the conversation that feels more thoughtful, less frantic. Try it today. 3 seconds of silence before you respond. It will feel like an eternity the first few times, but the impact is massive. Now I need to address the listening killers, the things that destroy your ability to listen well. There are 4 major ones, and you probably do at least 2 of them regularly. Listening killer 1 is interrupting. You're so excited to share your thought, or you think you know where they're going, so you cut them off. Every time you interrupt, you send a message. What I have to say is more important than what you're saying. Even if that's not your intent, that's what lands. And people stop talking to you about anything real because they know they won't get to finish. Listening killer 2 is advice giving. Someone shares a problem and immediately you jump to solutions. Here's what you should do. Have you tried this? What you need to do is... Most of the time, people aren't asking for advice. They're asking to be heard. They need to process, to vent, to feel understood. And when you jump to advice, especially without being asked, the message is, your feelings aren't valid, just fix it. If someone wants advice, they'll ask. Until then, just listen. Listening killer 3 is one-upping. Someone shares something and you immediately share something similar but bigger. Oh, you think your day was bad? Let me tell you about my day. You're trying to relate, trying to show you understand. But what they hear is, my experience is more important than yours. They feel diminished, like their experience doesn't count. Listening killer 4 is fixing. Similar to advice giving but deeper. You can't sit with someone's pain or struggle. You have to make it better immediately. This comes from good intentions. You care about them. You want them to feel better. But sometimes people need to sit in their feelings for a while. They need someone to be there with them, not someone to rescue them. When you try to fix everything, you rob them of the process of working through it themselves. Here's something that will challenge you. How do you listen when you disagree? This is where most people fail. When someone is saying something you think is wrong, your entire focus shifts to formulating your counterargument. You stop listening and start preparing to correct them. But here's what you need to do instead. Listen even harder, especially when you disagree. Try to understand why they believe what they believe. What's their evidence, their experience, their reasoning? You can disagree with someone and still fully understand their perspective. In fact, you can only meaningfully disagree once you truly understand. Most arguments are between people who haven't taken the time to understand each other's actual position. Here's an exercise for you. Today, in your next conversation, just listen. That's it. Don't give advice unless explicitly asked. Don't one-up. Don't fix. Don't interrupt. Just receive, appreciate, summarize, and ask. Use RASA. Practice the 3-second pause. See what happens. I guarantee the other person will feel more connected to you than they have in a long time. And you'll be surprised by what you learn when you actually listen. Deep listening is a superpower. In a world where everyone is screaming to be heard, the person who actually listens has infinite influence. Because people are starving to be understood, and whoever makes them feel understood wins their trust, their respect, their loyalty. That's the art of deep listening. Master it, and everything changes. Reading body language like a pro. Now let's talk about what people's bodies are telling you that their mouths never will. Body language is the most honest form of communication. Your words can lie. Your body never does. When there's a conflict between someone's words and their body language, always trust the body. Always. Here's what you need to understand. Body language doesn't communicate in individual gestures. It communicates in clusters. One crossed arm might just mean someone is cold, but crossed arms plus turned away body, plus tight lips, plus furrowed brow, that's a cluster. And that cluster is screaming defensiveness. You need to read patterns, not isolated signals. Let me give you the 7 major body language clusters. Learn these, and you'll be able to read anyone in any situation. Cluster 1 is openness. This is the body saying, I'm receptive, I'm engaged, I'm safe to approach. What does it look like? Uncrossed arms and legs. Body turned toward you, not away. Leaning in slightly. Visible palms. Open posture. Chest exposed, not protected. Good eye contact without staring. Relaxed facial muscles. When you see this cluster, the person is genuinely interested in what's happening. Cluster 2 is defensiveness. The body saying, I'm protecting myself, I feel threatened, I'm closing off. What does it look like? Crossed arms or legs, creating a barrier. Body turned slightly away, leaning back, creating distance, hands protecting the torso, clenched fists or jaw, lips pressed together. When you see this cluster, something has made the person feel unsafe or attacked. You need to dial back, create safety, address what triggered the defense. Cluster 3 is evaluation. The body saying, I'm thinking about this, I'm judging, I'm deciding. What does it look like? Hand on chin, leaning back slightly to create distance for perspective. Head tilted, narrowed eyes or focused gaze, stroking beard or chin, pursed lips. This isn't negative or positive, it's analytical. When you see this, the person is processing, considering, making decisions. Give them space to think. Cluster 4 is deception. The body saying, I'm not being fully truthful, I'm uncomfortable with what I'm saying. What does it look like? Touching face, especially nose or mouth, looking away or down, fidgeting, hand covering mouth when speaking, inconsistent gestures, tense shoulders, increased blinking. Now critical point. These signals indicate discomfort, not necessarily lying. Someone might show deception signals because they're nervous, not because they're lying. Context matters. Don't accuse someone of lying just because they touch their nose, but do notice the discomfort and get curious about what's causing it. Cluster 5 is confidence. The body saying, I'm secure, I'm capable, I'm comfortable. What does it look like? Expansive posture, taking up space, steady, comfortable eye contact. Hands still and purposeful, not fidgeting. Chest out, shoulders back. Chin up. Smooth, deliberate movements. Relaxed facial expression. When you see this cluster, you're with someone who feels in control of themselves and the situation. Cluster 6 is attraction or interest. The body saying, I like you, I want to connect, I'm drawn to you. What does it look like? Dilated pupils, leaning in toward you, mirroring your movements and posture, preening behaviors like smoothing hair or adjusting clothes, feet pointed toward you, finding excuses to touch you or move closer, increased eye contact with frequent looks at your mouth, This cluster shows up in romantic attraction, but also in any situation where someone is genuinely interested and engaged. Cluster 7 is dominance. The body saying, I'm in charge, I'm powerful, I'm controlling this space. What does it look like? Taking up maximum space, pointing with fingers or hands, invading personal space without permission, sustained, intense eye contact that feels like staring, hands behind head, elbows out, touching others without reciprocation, standing while others sit. When you see this cluster, you're with someone asserting power. How you respond depends on the context and your goals. Now let's talk about micro-expressions. These are involuntary facial expressions that last less than half a second. They reveal true emotions before the person can mask them. Paul Ekman, the researcher who pioneered this field, identified 7 universal emotions that show up in faces across all cultures. Happiness, crow's feet around eyes, raised cheeks, upturned mouth corners. The key is the eyes. A fake smile engages only the mouth. A genuine smile, called a Duchenne smile, engages the eyes. You can't fake crow's feet. Sadness. Inner corners of eyebrows raised and pulled together, lips pulled down, lower lip pushed up slightly. The eyes lose focus. This is the expression of loss, disappointment, helplessness, anger. Lowered eyebrows pulled together, tense eyelids, lips pressed together or exposed teeth. The entire face tightens. Anger is mobilizing energy. The face prepares for confrontation, fear. Raised eyebrows pulled together, eyes wide, mouth open. This is the face of perceived threat. The eyes widen to take in more information about the danger. If you see fear flash across someone's face, they just perceived you or the situation as threatening. Disgust. Wrinkled nose, raised upper lip, lowered brows. This is the expression of revulsion, originally evolved to respond to contaminated food. Now it shows up when someone finds something morally, socially, or aesthetically repulsive. Surprise. Raised eyebrows, wide eyes, dropped jaw, open mouth. This is the face of unexpected information. Surprise is brief. It quickly transitions to another emotion depending on whether the surprise is positive or negative. Contempt. One side of the mouth raised. This is the only asymmetrical universal expression. Contempt is feeling superior to someone, looking down on them. If you see contempt in a relationship, that relationship is in serious trouble. Contempt is the strongest predictor of relationship failure, according to John Gottman's research. These micro-expressions flash across faces before people can control them. If you train yourself to spot them, you'll know what someone is really feeling even when they're trying to hide it. You'll see the flash of anger before the composed response, the flicker of fear before the brave front, the hint of contempt beneath the polite words. Now, let's talk about something fascinating: power poses. Amy Cuddy's research showed that your body doesn't just reflect your emotional state. Your body actually creates your emotional state. If you stand in a confident posture for 2 minutes, your brain chemistry changes. Testosterone increases, cortisol decreases. You actually feel more confident. This works in reverse, too. If you slouch, if you make yourself small, you'll feel less confident even if nothing else has changed. Here's what this means practically. Before any high-stakes conversation, presentation, interview, negotiation, spend 2 minutes in a power pose. Stand with feet wide, hands on hips, or raised above your head, chest out, chin up, like a superhero. It feels ridiculous. Do it anyway. Your hormones will shift, and you'll walk into that situation with more confidence. Not fake confidence, real, biochemical confidence. Now, matching and mirroring. This is one of the most powerful rapport-building techniques. When you subtly match someone's body language, their posture, their energy level, their speaking pace, you create unconscious connection. Mirror neurons fire in their brain. They feel understood, comfortable, safe with you. They don't know why, but they'll like you more and trust you more. Keyword, subtly. Don't be obvious. Don't mimic them like a parrot. If they cross their legs, wait 30 seconds, then cross yours. If they lean forward, gradually lean forward too. If they're speaking slowly and quietly, slow down and lower your volume. If they're energetic and expressive, raise your energy. You're creating resonance. And resonance feels like connection. A critical warning. Context and culture matter enormously with body language. Eye contact is respectful in Western cultures, but can be disrespectful in many Asian cultures. Personal space expectations vary wildly. Touch norms are completely different across cultures. The clusters I gave you are fairly universal, but the specifics can vary. Always consider cultural context, and always prioritize what you know about the individual over general body language rules. Finally, your own body language. What are you broadcasting right now? Sit up. Uncross your arms. Turn your body toward the person you're talking to. Make comfortable eye contact. Smile genuinely. Show open palms when making a point. Your body language affects how people respond to you more than your words do. If your body is broadcasting closed, defensive, nervous, people will respond with their own defense. If your body broadcasts open, confident, warm, people will open up to you. Here's your practice. Watch a conversation with the sound off. A movie scene, a meeting through a window, people in a coffee shop. What can you tell about the conversation just from body language? Who has the power? Who's comfortable? Who's defensive? Who's attracted to whom? Train your eye to see the clusters. Then start noticing in your own conversations. What is the other person's body telling you? What is your body telling them? Body language fluency is a learnable skill. And once you have it, you have information nobody else in the room has. The charisma code. Now let's talk about the quality that makes certain people magnetic. That makes people want to be around them, listen to them, follow them. Charisma. And here's what you need to know right away. Charisma is not a personality trait. It's not something you're born with or without. It's a skill, a learnable, practicable skill. And I'm going to break down the exact formula. Charisma comes down to 3 elements. I call it the charisma triangle. Presence, power, and warmth. You need all 3. Most people have 1 or 2, and that's why their charisma is inconsistent or incomplete. Presence is being fully there. Undivided attention. When you're with someone, you're actually with them. Not thinking about your next meeting, not distracted by your phone, not mentally preparing your response. Fully present. This is shockingly rare. Most people give fractured attention, partial presence. When you give someone your full presence, they feel it immediately. They feel valued, important, seen. Presence says, you matter. Right now, in this moment, you are the most important thing in my world. Power is confidence, capability, competence. It's the sense that you can handle things, that you have resources, that you're not easily rattled. Power isn't about dominating others. It's about being grounded in yourself. People feel safe around power because powerful people don't need to prove anything. They're secure. They can handle difficult situations. They can protect, provide, lead. Power says, you're safe with me. I'm capable. Warmth is kindness, care, making others feel valued. It's genuine interest in others, empathy, making people feel good about themselves. Warmth says, I like you. I care about your well-being. I want good things for you. Without warmth, power becomes intimidating. Without power, warmth becomes weakness. Here's the balance you need. Too much power without warmth. You're intimidating, cold, someone people respect, but don't feel comfortable around. Too much warmth without power. You're nice, but you're a pushover. Someone people like, but don't respect or follow. You need both. High warmth, high power. That's charisma. Now let's talk about delivery. The contrast principle. Charismatic people know how to use contrast in their communication to keep people engaged. They vary volume, going from loud to soft strategically. They vary pace, speeding up for energy, slowing down for emphasis. They vary pitch, avoiding monotone. And critically, they use pause. Strategic silence for emphasis. Imagine I'm saying this. Most people communicate like this. Same volume, same pace, same tone. It's boring. Your brain checks out. But when you vary it, when you go loud for excitement, then drop to almost a whisper for something important, when you speed up to build energy, then pause for 3 seconds to let something land, people stay engaged. Their brain can't predict what's coming next, so it has to pay attention. Contrast creates attention. Here's something that will change how you communicate. Stories beat facts by 22 times in memory retention. 22 times. People forget statistics, forget data, forget logical arguments. But they remember stories. Stories have characters, conflict, emotion, resolution. Our brains are wired for narrative. If you want people to remember what you say, to be moved by what you say, tell stories. Not just data, not just facts. Stories that illustrate the point. Now let's talk about vulnerability. Brené Brown's research shows that vulnerability creates connection. When you share something real, something imperfect, something human, people trust you more, not less, more. Because perfection is unrelatable. Perfection creates distance. Vulnerability creates closeness. This doesn't mean oversharing. This doesn't mean dumping your trauma on strangers. It means being willing to be real, to admit when you don't know, to share when you've struggled, to show that you're human, not a polished facade. Here's something that will relieve you. The spotlight effect. You think everyone is watching you, judging every word, noticing every mistake. But research shows people are thinking about themselves 95% of the time. They're worried about how they look, what they're going to say next, whether people like them. They're not scrutinizing you as much as you think. This should free you. You can relax. You can be more natural. Because everyone else is too worried about themselves to judge you harshly. Eye contact. This is crucial for charisma. Too little eye contact. You seem shifty, untrustworthy, disinterested. Too much eye contact without breaking. You seem aggressive, weird, predatory. The rule: maintain eye contact for 3 to 5 seconds, then briefly look away, then back. This feels natural. It's engaged without being intense. When listening, maintain more eye contact. When speaking, it's natural to look away occasionally as you think. But return to eye contact for key points. Let's talk about smiling. There's a difference between genuine smiles and fake smiles. Genuine smiles, Duchenne smiles, engage the whole face. The cheeks lift, the eyes crinkle, crow's feet appear. Fake smiles only engage the mouth. The eyes stay dead. People can tell the difference unconsciously even if they can't articulate it. A genuine smile makes you likable, trustworthy, warm. A fake smile does the opposite. So only smile when you actually feel it. And if you want to feel it more, practice gratitude, notice beauty, connect with what you appreciate. Genuine warmth has to come from genuine feeling. Now here's the truth that makes all of this accessible. Charisma is making others feel good about themselves. That's it. That's the secret. Charismatic people make you feel interesting, valued, capable, seen. They're not performing. They're not trying to impress you with how great they are. They're making you feel great about yourself. How do you do this? Listen deeply. Ask good questions about them. Acknowledge their contributions. Recognize their strengths. Be genuinely curious about their experience. People will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Here's something important. Introverts can be incredibly charismatic. Charisma isn't about being loud or energetic or entertaining. It's about presence, power, warmth. Introverts often have tremendous presence because they're naturally reflective and focused. They have quiet power because they're grounded and don't need external validation. And many introverts have deep warmth because they genuinely care about quality connections. Susan Cain, author of Quiet, talks about how some of the most charismatic leaders in history were introverts. Gandhi, Rosa Parks, Eleanor Roosevelt. Not loud, not extroverted, but incredibly charismatic because of their presence, their groundedness, their authenticity. Let me tell you about a client. Software engineer, quiet, shy, never spoke up in meetings. Assumed he wasn't a leader because he wasn't the loudest voice. But he worked on the charisma triangle. He practiced being fully present instead of hiding. He built power by deepening his expertise and owning his competence. He showed warmth by genuinely caring about his team members and expressing it. He didn't become loud, he became magnetic. Within 6 months, people were seeking him out for advice. He was promoted to lead engineer, not because he changed his personality, because he understood that charisma is a skill, not a trait. That's the charisma code. Presence, power, warmth. Contrast in your delivery. Stories over facts. Authentic vulnerability. Comfortable eye contact. Genuine smiles. And above all, making others feel valued. Master these and people will be drawn to you without understanding why. That's charisma. Mastering difficult conversations. The conflict revolution. Now we get to what most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Conflict, difficult conversations, disagreements, confrontations. And here's what you need to understand immediately. Conflict is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Every relationship that matters will have conflict. Every single one. Romantic partnerships, friendships, family, work relationships. If there's no conflict, either the relationship is brand new or someone is hiding their truth. Conflict means you're both real people with different needs, perspectives, preferences. That's healthy. What's unhealthy is how most people handle conflict. They either explode or they disappear. Attack or avoid, neither works. Let me show you the 5 conflict styles from the Thomas Kilmann model. Everyone has a default style they learned growing up, and understanding yours will help you see why some conflicts go well and others spiral. Style 1 is competing. This is win-lose. You're focused on getting your needs met, your perspective accepted, your outcome achieved. You're not concerned with the other person's needs. When to use this style? Emergencies. When a quick decision is needed and you have the expertise. When you need to make an unpopular but necessary decision. When you're dealing with someone who will exploit any accommodation. But if this is your default style in relationships, you're damaging them. People feel steamrolled, unvalued, unheard. Style 2 is accommodating. This is lose-win. You're prioritizing the other person's needs over your own. You're keeping the peace at the cost of your own voice. When to use this? When the issue matters more to them than to you. When you were wrong and you need to admit it. When you're building goodwill for something that will matter more later. But if this is your default, you're building resentment. You're teaching people your needs don't matter, and eventually you'll explode or withdraw completely. Style 3 is avoiding. This is lose-lose. Nobody's needs get met because nobody addresses the issue. You're hoping it will go away or resolve itself. When to use this? When the issue is truly trivial and not worth the energy. When emotions are too high and you need time to cool down. When you have no chance of getting your needs met and engaging would only make things worse. But if this is your default, conflicts don't disappear. They accumulate, they fester, and eventually they explode in ways that damage the relationship permanently. Style 4 is compromising. This is partial win-win. Both people give something up to reach a middle ground. Neither person gets everything they want, but both get something. When to use this? When time pressure exists. When you need a temporary solution. When both people have equal power and competing goals. This is better than avoiding, but it's not the ideal because both people walk away having sacrificed. Style 5 is collaborating. This is full win-win. Both people's needs are fully met through creative problem solving. This takes the most time and energy, but it produces the best outcomes. When to use this? When the relationship is important. when you have time to explore options, when a creative solution is possible, when both people are willing to be open and vulnerable about their real needs. This should be your goal in important relationships. Not always achievable, but always the goal. Most people default to one or two styles and use them regardless of context. That's a mistake. You need all 5 in your toolkit. The question is, which style serves this specific situation best? Now let me give you the framework for crucial conversations. These are conversations where stakes are high, emotions are strong, and opinions differ. Crucial conversations happen all the time. Giving negative feedback to your boss, telling your partner you feel neglected, confronting a friend about broken trust, setting a boundary with a family member. These conversations determine the quality of your life and relationships, and most people handle them terribly. The framework is this: start with heart. Before you enter the conversation, get clear on your intent. What do you really want? Not just in this conversation, but for the relationship? Most people enter crucial conversations with the intent to win, to be right, to vent, to punish. Those intents guarantee failure. Your intent needs to be, I want to understand and be understood. I want to find a solution that works for both of us. I want to strengthen this relationship. Get your heart right first, or don't have the conversation yet. Next, notice when safety is at risk. Safety is the foundation of productive dialogue. When people feel unsafe, they go into fight or flight. They attack or they shut down. You see this as silence or violence. Silence looks like withdrawing, avoiding, sarcasm, masking. Violence looks like attacking, controlling, labeling, making absolute statements. When you see either, safety has been lost. Stop trying to win the argument. Start trying to restore safety. How do you make it safe? 2 ways. Establish mutual purpose. Make it clear you care about their goals too, not just yours. I want to find something that works for both of us. I care about what matters to you. This reminds them you're not enemies. You're partners trying to solve a problem together. And establish mutual respect. Make it clear you respect them as a person, even if you disagree with their position. I respect you. I value our relationship. This disagreement doesn't change that. Respect signals safety. Once safety is restored, you can state your path. This is how you share your perspective in a way that invites dialogue instead of defense. S is for share your facts. Start with observable, objective facts, not interpretations, not judgments, facts. Here's what I observed, here's what happened, here's what I saw or heard. Facts are hard to argue with because they're verifiable. T is for tell your story. This is your interpretation of those facts, the meaning you made from them. Here's what I'm telling myself about what happened. Here's how I interpreted this. Here's the conclusion I reached. This is where you own that your story is your story, not absolute truth. A is for ask for others' paths. Invite them to share their perspective. Help me understand your view. What's your take on this? Am I missing something? This is critical. You're not declaring truth. You're inviting dialogue. T is for talk tentatively. Don't present your story as fact. Use language that acknowledges uncertainty. It seems like, I'm wondering if, my sense is, this makes it safe for them to disagree, to offer a different interpretation, to help you see what you're missing. E is for encourage testing. Make it safe for them to push back. Tell me if you see this differently. Where am I wrong? Challenge my thinking. This removes defensiveness because you're actively inviting them to disagree. This framework transforms difficult conversations. Instead of you telling them how it is and them defending, you're both exploring what's true together. You're on the same team trying to understand reality, not on opposing teams fighting to win. Now let me give you a specific technique that works incredibly well. The XYZ formula. When you do X, I feel Y because Z. This is how you express a complaint without attacking character. Not, You're so inconsiderate. That's an attack. That's character assassination. They'll defend immediately. Instead, when you check your phone during our conversation, I feel disrespected because it seems like what I'm saying doesn't matter to you. That's specific behavior, your emotional response, and the meaning you're making. They can engage with that. They can explain, apologize, change the behavior. You haven't attacked who they are, just addressed what they did. Here's another principle that changes everything. Use and instead of but negates everything that came before it. I hear you, but what they hear is, I don't actually hear you. Here's why you're wrong. Instead, use and. I hear you, and I see it differently. I understand your perspective, and I have concerns, and allows both things to be true simultaneously. It doesn't negate, it adds. This keeps the conversation collaborative instead of oppositional. One more critical thing, the 24-hour rule for heated conflicts. If you're angry, if you're flooded with emotion, if you're in fight or flight, do not have the conversation. Your prefrontal cortex is offline. You can't think clearly. You can't communicate effectively. You'll say things you regret. Take 24 hours. Let your nervous system settle. Then have the conversation. This doesn't mean avoiding conflict. This means timing it for success instead of disaster. Let me tell you about two business partners. They'd been friends for 20 years, partners for 10. They hit a major disagreement about the direction of the company. One wanted to expand aggressively. The other wanted to stay small and sustainable. The arguments got heated. Both felt unheard, disrespected. They were on the brink of dissolving the partnership and the friendship. They used this framework. They started with heart. Both realized their intent had become to win the argument, not to find a solution. They shifted their intent to, we want a solution that honors both of our values and keeps our friendship intact. They restored safety by affirming mutual respect and mutual purpose. Then they used state. They shared facts about the business, told their stories about what success looked like, asked for each other's paths, talked tentatively, encouraged testing. What they discovered was they were both right. Expansion was needed for the business to survive, but sustainable pace was needed to maintain quality and avoid burnout. The solution wasn't one path or the other. It was a phased approach. Slow expansion with pauses to integrate. Both needs met. Partnership saved. Friendship deeper than before. That's what happens when you handle conflict well. It doesn't destroy relationships, it deepens them. Because you've proven you can disagree and still respect each other. You can have different needs and still find solutions. You can have hard conversations and come out stronger. That's the conflict revolution. Giving and receiving feedback. Now let's talk about feedback, the skill that accelerates personal growth faster than almost anything else, and the skill most people are terrible at giving and receiving. Let's fix that. Here's why feedback fails. It's usually too vague, too late, too personal, or wrapped in a compliment sandwich that fools nobody. The feedback sandwich is praise, criticism, praise. The idea was to cushion the blow. But what actually happens is people learn to distrust your praise because they're waiting for the but, and the criticism gets diluted and doesn't land clearly. The feedback sandwich needs to die. Let me give you a better framework, the SBI model. Situation, behavior, impact. Situation. Set the context. Be specific about when and where this happened. In yesterday's client meeting, during last week's presentation, in the project update you sent on Tuesday. Specificity prevents defensiveness because the person knows exactly what you're referencing. They're not trying to guess which of a dozen situations you mean. Behavior. Describe the observable behavior, not your interpretation, not their intent, the actual behavior. When you interrupted Sarah 3 times, when you arrived 15 minutes late, when you didn't include the data I requested, this is factual. This happened. Not you're rude or you don't care, just the behavior. Impact. Explain the consequence of that behavior. Here's why it mattered. I noticed Sarah stopped sharing ideas, and others became quiet. The meeting had to be rescheduled, and 3 people were waiting. I couldn't complete my analysis, and we missed the deadline. This helps the person understand why you're bringing it up. It's not arbitrary. Their behavior had consequences. Here's an example. Not, you need to be more professional in meetings. That's vague and judgmental. Instead, in yesterday's team meeting, when you were checking your phone multiple times while others were presenting, I noticed people seemed less engaged and cut their presentations short. I'm concerned it sent a message that their work wasn't important. See the difference? Specific situation, observable behavior, clear impact. The person can receive this, they can engage with it, they can change it. Now let me introduce you to Radical Candor, Kim Scott's framework. This is the gold standard for feedback. There are 2 axes, care personally and challenge directly. Both are required. When you care personally and challenge directly, you're in radical candor. This is the sweet spot. You're telling someone the truth because you care about them and their growth. Not to be cruel, to be kind. Not to tear them down, to help them improve. This is what great bosses, great partners, great friends do. They tell you what you need to hear even when it's hard because they care about you. When you care personally but don't challenge directly, you're in ruinous empathy. You're nice but ineffective. You don't give critical feedback because you don't want to hurt feelings. So people never grow. They never know what they're doing wrong. They hit the same walls over and over. You think you're being kind. You're actually being cruel. Because you're withholding information they need. When you challenge directly but don't care personally, you're in obnoxious aggression. You're the asshole. You're brutally honest without compassion. You tell the truth, but in a way that hurts and alienates. People might improve out of fear, but they'll also resent you and leave the first chance they get. When you neither care personally nor challenge directly, you're in manipulative insincerity. This is passive-aggressive hell. You don't care enough to be honest, but you also don't care enough to be kind. You say things are fine when they're not. You undermine behind people's backs. You're politically maneuvering instead of being real. This is the worst quadrant. It destroys trust and culture. Your goal is radical candor. Care plus challenge. Kindness plus honesty. This is where growth happens. This is where relationships deepen. This is where teams excel. Now let's talk about timing. When should you give feedback? Positive feedback should be immediate and usually public. When someone does something well, tell them right away, in front of others if appropriate. This reinforces the behavior. It shows you notice. It makes them want to do it again. Constructive feedback should be soon, but private. Don't let too much time pass or it loses relevance. But also, don't give critical feedback in front of others unless absolutely necessary. Pull them aside. Create safety. Then give the feedback. Critical feedback requires cooling off first. If you're angry, wait. Process your emotions. Get clear on your intent. Then, have the conversation. And always privately. Always with preparation. Now, how do you ask for feedback effectively? Most people say, "How am I doing?" That's too vague. You'll get vague answers. Good, fine, no problem. Useless. Instead, be specific. How did I handle that difficult client objection? What's one thing I could do differently in our meetings to make them more effective? Where do you see me getting in my own way? Specific questions get useful answers. General questions get polite platitudes. Now the hard part, receiving feedback without defensiveness. This is where most people fail. Someone gives you feedback and immediately your walls go up. You want to explain, justify, defend. But here's what you need to do instead. Step 1. Listen fully without interrupting. Let them finish. Even if you disagree. Even if you want to clarify. Just listen first. Most people start defending before the other person even finishes talking. That guarantees the feedback won't land. Step 2. Ask clarifying questions, not defensive questions. Not, "Don't you think you're being unfair?" But, Can you give me an example of when I did this? Help me understand what you'd like to see instead. You're trying to understand more clearly, not defend yourself. Step 3. Thank them genuinely. This is hard when the feedback stings, but thank them anyway. Thank you for telling me this. I know that wasn't easy. I appreciate you caring enough to be honest. Even if you disagree with the feedback, thank them for having the courage to give it. Step 4. Take 24 hours to process it. Don't respond immediately. Don't decide if it's valid or not in the moment. Sit with it. Often feedback that feels wrong in the moment turns out to be accurate once you've had time to reflect. Give yourself space. Step 5. Decide what to do with it. Not all feedback is good feedback. Some is accurate and useful. Some is accurate but not useful. Some is just wrong. You get to decide. But decide from a calm place, not from defensiveness. Ask yourself, is there truth here? Even if I don't like how it was delivered? Even if it's only 10% true, what's that 10%? The growth mindset shift is critical here. Feedback is not judgment. Feedback is data. It's information about impact. Someone is telling you how your behavior affected them. That's valuable data, even if it's hard to hear. You can't grow without feedback. Every person you admire, every person at the top of their field, they got there partially because they could receive feedback well. Let me tell you about a woman who changed her entire career trajectory with one piece of feedback. She was brilliant, hardworking. Everyone knew she was talented, but she kept getting passed over for promotions. She finally asked her mentor, "What am I missing?" And her mentor said something that hurt. "You're brilliant, but you make people feel stupid. You interrupt, you correct, you can't let anyone finish a thought without showing how you do it better. You're right most of the time, but nobody wants to work with you." This was devastating. But instead of getting defensive, she sat with it. She watched herself in meetings, and she realized it was true. She had been so focused on being right that she hadn't noticed how she was making people feel. So she changed. She practiced listening more. She asked questions instead of giving answers. She let people finish thoughts, even when she knew where they were going. She started saying, "Tell me more about that," instead of, "Here's the better way." Within a year, promoted. Within 2 years, promoted again. Not because her technical skills improved. Those were always excellent. Because her interpersonal skills caught up. Because she could finally receive feedback and act on it. That's the power of feedback done well. It accelerates growth. It strengthens relationships. It creates cultures of excellence. Master giving and receiving feedback, and you'll grow faster than you ever thought possible. Saying no with grace. Now let's address one of the most important communication skills that almost nobody teaches. Saying no. Setting boundaries. Declining requests without destroying relationships. This is where most people fail spectacularly. They either can't say no and end up burned out and resentful, or they say no so harshly they burn bridges. Let's learn to do it with grace. First, let's talk about why saying no is so hard. It's the disease to please. We want to be liked. We want to be helpful. We don't want to disappoint people. We're afraid of conflict. We're afraid of being seen as selfish or difficult. So we say yes when we mean no. We overcommit. We underdeliver. We build resentment. We burn out. And ironically, people respect us less, not more. Here's the cost of always saying yes. Resentment. You're doing things you don't want to do. You're sacrificing your time, energy, needs for others. And you start to resent them even though they didn't force you. You forced yourself. Burnout. You can't do everything for everyone. Eventually, your body says no for you through exhaustion, illness, breakdown, loss of respect. When you never say no, people learn. Your yes doesn't mean anything. You're not reliable because you're overcommitted. And they learn they can push you because you won't push back. Here's the truth you need to hear. No is a complete sentence. You don't owe everyone an explanation for your number. You don't need permission to decline. You don't need a good enough reason. No is enough. Now, in most contexts, you'll want to add some cushioning, but the foundation is no is valid. Your boundaries are valid. Your needs are valid. Let me give you the 4-step graceful number. This allows you to decline clearly while maintaining the relationship. Step 1. Acknowledge the request. Show you heard them and understand what they're asking. Thank you for thinking of me for this. I appreciate you reaching out. I understand this project is important. This shows respect. They feel heard. Step 2. Express appreciation. If appropriate, validate them or the ask. I'm honored you'd consider me. This sounds like a great opportunity. I can see why this matters. You're acknowledging value even as you decline. Step 3. Decline clearly. No wishy-washy language. No maybe. No false hope. I can't commit to this right now. I won't be able to participate. My answer is no. Clear, direct, kind. Don't leave room for them to push or negotiate unless you actually want that. Step 4. Offer an alternative if possible. But you don't have to. Sometimes no is just no. But if you can help in a different way, offer it. I can't take on the full project, but I can introduce you to someone who might be perfect. I can't attend, but I can contribute in writing. This shows you care about their success even if you can't help the way they asked. Here are some examples. Work request. I appreciate you thinking of me for this project. I'm honored. I can't commit to this right now because of my existing commitments to X and Y deadlines. I'd love to connect you with Sarah, who might be perfect for this. Personal invitation. Thank you for the invitation. I won't be able to make it, but I hope you have a wonderful time. Pushy request after you've already said no. I understand this is important to you. My answer is still no. See how clear these are? No guilt, no over-explaining, no apologizing for having boundaries. Just acknowledgement, appreciation where appropriate, clear decline, alternative if possible. Now let's talk about buying time. You don't have to answer immediately, especially for big asks. It's completely acceptable to say, let me check my calendar and get back to you by tomorrow. I need to think about this. Can I give you an answer by Friday? This gives you space to really consider instead of reflexively saying yes out of pressure. Now, when should you say no without explanation? When someone is violating boundaries, when you're dealing with manipulation, when you've already explained and they're pushing, when the request is inappropriate. In these situations, no is enough. Don't jade. Don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. Just no. The more you explain, the more ammunition you give them to argue with your reasons. Let's talk about dealing with pushback and guilt trips, because some people won't accept your no gracefully. They'll push. They'll say, come on, just this once. But I really need you. Everyone else said yes. I thought I could count on you. These are manipulations. Don't engage. Use the broken record technique. Calmly repeat your boundary. I understand, and my answer is no. I hear you, and I can't commit to this. I know this is important to you, and I'm not able to help. Same words. Calm tone. Over and over. Eventually they'll realize pushing doesn't work. Stay calm and firm. Don't get angry. Don't get defensive. Don't explain more. Just calmly, firmly, kindly repeat your boundary. Your no is not up for negotiation. Here's something that will liberate you. You are not responsible for other people's reactions to your boundaries. If someone gets angry because you said no, that's their issue, not yours. You're not being mean by having limits. You're being healthy. If they can't handle your no, that tells you something about them, not about you. Guilt is useful when you've actually done something wrong. Guilt that comes from setting healthy boundaries is not useful. That's just programming. That's the disease to please trying to protect you from rejection. Feel the guilt and set the boundary anyway. The guilt will fade. Your burnout won't. Now let's practice some scenarios. Your boss asks you to take on a project, but you're already at capacity. I appreciate you thinking of me for this. I want to do quality work. I'm currently committed to X, Y, and Z with deadlines of. Taking this on would compromise those deliverables. Can we discuss priorities? Or would you like me to delegate one of my current projects? A friend wants to vent to you, but you're emotionally drained. I care about you, and I want to be there for you. Right now, I don't have the emotional energy to give you the support you deserve. Can we talk tomorrow when I'm more present? Or is there someone else you can reach out to tonight? Family member asks you to host a holiday gathering, but you can't. I love that we all get together. This year, I won't be able to host. I'm happy to contribute food if someone else hosts, or we could consider going to a restaurant. Someone asks to borrow money. I care about you, and I want to help. I don't lend money to friends and family. It's a policy I have to protect our relationship. Here are some other resources that might help. The key in all of these is clarity, kindness, firmness. You're not apologizing for your boundaries. You're not over-explaining. You're just clearly, kindly, firmly saying no. Here's what changes when you learn to say no. You have time and energy for what actually matters. Your yes becomes meaningful because it's not automatic. People respect you more because you have boundaries. You respect yourself more because you're honoring your needs. Your relationships improve because there's less resentment. Your work improves because you're not overcommitted. Saying no is not selfish. Saying no is self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of every healthy relationship and every meaningful achievement. Master the graceful no, and you'll transform your life. Act 4. Public Speaking and Presentations. Presentation Mastery. Now let's tackle the fear that ranks higher than death for most people. Public speaking, glossophobia, the terror of standing in front of others and delivering a message. And here's what I'm going to prove to you in the next 9 minutes. Public speaking is not a talent. It's a formula. Learn the formula, practice the formula, and you can command any room. First, let's address the fear. It's real. It's biological. When you stand in front of a group, your amygdala registers it as a threat. You're exposed. You're being evaluated. You could be rejected, humiliated. Your nervous system responds with fight or flight. Heart racing, palms sweating, mind going blank. This is not weakness. This is your body trying to protect you from perceived social danger. But here's what changes everything. You can reframe the physiological response. When you feel nervous before speaking, your body is producing the exact same chemicals as when you feel excited. Same increased heart rate, same adrenaline, same heightened alertness. The only difference is the story you tell yourself. If you tell yourself this is anxiety, you'll feel anxious. If you tell yourself this is excitement, you'll feel excited. Say out loud, I'm excited. I'm excited to share this. I'm excited about this opportunity. Your brain will shift from threat to challenge. Now let me give you the 3 P's of great presentations. Prepare, presence, purpose. Master these 3 and you'll never fear the stage again. Prepare is both content and rehearsal. You need to know your material so well that you could deliver it in your sleep, not memorized word for word. That's brittle and sounds robotic. But you know the flow, the key points, the transitions, and you've practiced out loud at least 3 times. Not in your head, out loud, with your voice, in the space if possible. Preparation eliminates 90% of nervousness because you know you're ready. Presence is your body and energy. You need to be physically grounded and energetically engaged. Before you go on, spend 2 minutes in a power pose. Research by Amy Cuddy shows this changes your hormone levels. Testosterone increases, cortisol decreases. You feel more confident because biochemically you are more confident. Stand with your feet wide, hands on hips, or raised above your head, chest out, chin up, like a superhero. Yes, it feels ridiculous. Do it anyway. In a bathroom stall, in a hallway, wherever. 2 minutes. Then walk onto that stage with different energy. Purpose is why this matters, not why it matters to you, why it matters to them. If your presentation is about you looking good, performing well, not messing up, you've already lost. But if your purpose is to serve the audience, to give them something valuable, to help them understand or do or feel something important, your nervous energy transforms into service energy. You're not there to perform. You're there to give. That shift changes everything. Now let me give you a structure that works for any presentation, any topic, any audience, any length. This is the universal presentation structure. Opening. You have 30 seconds to grab attention. 30 seconds. After that, people decide if they're going to listen or tune out. Don't start with, "Hello, my name is," nobody cares yet. Start with something that makes them care. A provocative question. What if everything you know about X is wrong? A shocking statistic. 70% of people will experience this in their lifetime. A bold statement. Most people communicate backwards their entire life. A compelling story. 3 years ago, I stood where you're sitting. I had no idea that what I was about to learn would change everything. Start strong. Earn their attention. Promise. Tell them what they're going to get. In the next 20 minutes, you'll learn 3 things that will transform how you approach X. Be specific. Be clear. This tells them what to listen for. This helps them organize information as you deliver it. Content. 3 main points. Not 5. Not 7. 3. Rule of 3. The human brain loves patterns of 3. It's memorable, it's digestible, it's satisfying. Each point should have evidence, a story, data, an example. Don't just assert. Prove, show, illustrate, call to action. What do you want them to do, think, or feel as a result of this? Be specific. Not, "I hope you enjoyed this." But, starting tomorrow, I want you to try one of these 3 techniques. Don't leave the audience wondering what to do with what you just gave them. Tell them. Close. Circle back to your opening. If you started with a question, answer it. If you started with a story, complete it. If you started with a shocking stat, reframe it with your new insight. This creates satisfaction. It shows you had a plan. It makes your presentation feel cohesive and intentional. Now let's talk about overcoming nervousness in the moment. Deep breathing. Use the 4-7-8 technique. Breathe in through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 7 counts. Breathe out through your mouth for 8 counts. This triggers your parasympathetic nervous system. It physiologically calms you. Do this 3 times before you go on stage. Arrive early. Get comfortable with the space. Walk around. Stand where you'll stand. Test your voice. Touch the podium if there is one. Make the space familiar so it doesn't feel foreign when people arrive. Familiarity reduces threat response. Focus on serving the audience, not your performance. Remind yourself, I'm here to help them. I have something valuable to share. This isn't about me. This is about them. That shift moves your focus from self-protection to service. And service energy is powerful. Now, voice techniques. Volume variation. Speak louder for emphasis, softer for intimacy. Don't stay at one volume the whole time. Variation keeps attention. Strategic pauses. 3 to 5 seconds of silence for emphasis. Most people are terrified of silence and rush through it. But pauses are powerful. They let your words land. They create anticipation. They give people time to process. Pause before important points. Pause after important points. Just pause. Pace control. Most nervous speakers rush. They want to get through it and get off stage. Slow down. You're probably speaking faster than you think. Deliberately slow your pace. It will feel weird to you. It will sound perfect to them. Inflection. Avoid monotone. Vary your pitch. Go up at the end of questions. Go down at the end of statements. Use your voice like an instrument. Monotone is sleep-inducing. Varied inflection is engaging. Body language on stage. Open posture. Don't cross your arms or hide behind the podium. No hands in pockets. That looks casual or nervous. Keep your body open and visible. Movement with purpose. Don't pace nervously, but do move deliberately. Walk to a different spot for a new point. Move toward the audience to emphasize. Move to create energy. Just don't fidget or wander. Hand gestures. Above your waist, below your shoulders. This is the confidence zone. Gestures below your waist look nervous. Gestures above your shoulders look manic. Keep them in the middle zone. Use them to illustrate, to emphasize, to add energy. But if you don't know what to do with your hands, just let them rest at your sides. That's better than awkward, stiff gestures. Eye contact. 3 to 5 second sweeps. Look at one person for 3 to 5 seconds, then move to another person. This makes everyone feel included. Don't just scan the room. Actually see individuals. Connect with them. If it's a large room and you can't see faces clearly, look at sections of the room for a few seconds each. Here's the secret that will save you. Practice out loud 3 times minimum. The first time will be rough. You'll stumble, forget things, realize what doesn't work. Good. Fix it. The second time will be better. You'll catch more things, smooth it out. The third time, you'll feel prepared. If you can, record yourself. Watching yourself is painful. Do it anyway. You'll see exactly what needs work. One more thing. Record yourself practicing. Video is ideal, audio at minimum. Then watch or listen. I know. It's uncomfortable. You'll hate your voice, your mannerisms, your everything. Do it anyway. Because you'll see what the audience sees. You'll catch filler words you didn't know you used. You'll notice if you're rushing or swaying or doing something distracting. Self-awareness is the first step to improvement. Here's the truth. Public speaking is a skill. Every great speaker you admire was terrified the first time. They got good through preparation and practice. You can too. It's a formula, not magic. Handling Q&A and difficult audiences. Now let's talk about the part that terrifies people even more than the presentation itself. Q&A, questions and answers, the part where you lose control, where people can challenge you, where you might not have the answer. Let's make you dangerous at this. First, the Q&A framework. This is your structure for every question. Repeat or paraphrase the question. This does 3 things. First, it ensures everyone heard it, especially in larger rooms. Second, it gives you a few seconds to think. Third, it lets you reframe a hostile or rambling question into something answerable. So the question is about how to implement this in a remote environment. Now everyone knows what you're answering and you've bought yourself thinking time. Pause before answering. Don't jump in immediately. Take a breath. A real pause. This shows you're thoughtful, that you're taking the question seriously. Rushing makes you look nervous. Pausing makes you look confident. Answer concisely. Don't ramble. Don't tell 3 stories. Answer the question directly and move on. If you go on too long, you lose the room and you won't have time for other questions. Check if it answered their question. Does that answer your question? Is there a specific part you'd like me to expand on? This shows you care about actually helping them, not just performing. Now, the situation everyone dreads. You don't know the answer. Here's what most people do wrong. They fake it. They fumble. They make something up hoping it sounds good. Don't do this. Ever. If you don't know, say so. That's a great question. I don't have that data right now, but I'll find out and get back to you. Can I have your email after this? Honest. Professional. Followed by action. Nobody expects you to know everything. They do expect you to be honest. Or, if appropriate, I don't know. But does anyone here have experience with that? Turn it to the audience. Often someone in the room does know and you've just facilitated peer learning. Never, ever fake it. If you're caught not knowing what you're talking about, you lose all credibility. Better to admit you don't know and maintain trust. Now let's handle hostile questions. Because sometimes someone isn't asking to learn. They're asking to challenge, to show you up, to prove you wrong. Here's how you handle this. Stay calm. Don't take it personally. Don't get defensive. Take a breath. This person might have legitimate concerns wrapped in hostility, or they might just be having a bad day. Either way, your job is to stay professional. Acknowledge their concern. I hear your frustration about X. I understand this is important to you. You're not agreeing with them. You're acknowledging that they have feelings and concerns. This often de-escalates immediately because they feel heard. Redirect to facts or common ground. Here's what I know based on the data. Let's look at what we agree on first. You're moving from emotion to reason, from conflict to collaboration. Often the hostile person will follow you there. Example. I hear your frustration about the timeline. You're right that it's ambitious. Here's what we know about the constraints we're working with and why we chose this approach. Would you be open to discussing alternative approaches after the session? See what happened there? You acknowledged, you provided context, you invited dialogue without being defensive, dealing with interruptions. Because some people can't wait for Q&A. They interrupt during your presentation. I'll address that in a moment. Firm, but polite. Then keep going. Let me finish this thought. Then I'd love to hear your perspective. This acknowledges them while maintaining control. If they persist, I appreciate your engagement. I want to make sure everyone gets the full context first. Let's hold questions until the end so we can address them properly. Set the boundary clearly. Now, the rambler. The person who doesn't ask a question but tells a long story or makes a speech. This kills Q&A time for everyone else. So your question is about X, correct? Cut them off politely. Reframe their ramble into a specific question. Then answer that question and move on. Don't let one person dominate. Reading the room. You need to know if your audience is engaged or lost. Look for engagement signals. Leaning forward, nodding, eye contact, taking notes. If you see these, keep going. But watch for disengagement signals. People on phones, side conversations, glazed eyes, checking watches. If you see these, you need to adjust. How to adjust? Change your energy. If they're low energy, raise yours. Get louder, move more, ask a question. If they're overwhelmed, slow down. Recap. Check for understanding. Take a break if appropriate. If they're bored, skip ahead. Cut the less important stuff. Get to what matters. Your ego wants you to deliver everything you planned. Your job is to serve them. If they need something different, adjust. Emergency tactics. What do you do when things go wrong? Technology fails. You lose your place. You go completely blank. Tech fails. Acknowledge it and move on. Looks like we're having technical difficulties. Let me continue without the slides. Or, while we get this sorted, let me tell you a quick story about why this matters. Don't panic. Don't apologize profusely. Just handle it and keep going. Lose your place? Pause. Look at your notes if you have them. Or be honest. Give me just a moment to find my place. Nobody minds. They'd rather wait 5 seconds than watch you flail for 2 minutes. Go blank? This is the nightmare scenario. Your mind just empties. Here's what you do. Pause. Take a visible breath. Then, so far we've covered X and Y. Now let's move to Z. You've given yourself a second to recover, reminded yourself where you are, and nobody even knew you blanked. Here's the perspective that will help you. The audience is on your side. They're not hoping you fail. They're hoping you succeed, because if you succeed, they get value. They want you to be good. That should relieve pressure, not add to it. You have a room full of people rooting for you. The more you do Q&A, the better you get. You'll start anticipating questions. You'll develop standard answers for common questions. You'll get comfortable with uncertainty. This is a skill that improves with practice. So practice. Volunteer for Q&A opportunities. The discomfort is temporary. The skill is permanent. Act 5. Influence and Persuasion. The psychology of persuasion. Now we move into territory that makes some people uncomfortable. Influence, persuasion, changing minds, and we need to address this head-on. Influence is not manipulation. Influence done ethically is about helping people make decisions that serve them. Manipulation is about getting people to do what serves you at their expense. The difference is intent. We're learning influence to serve, not to exploit. Let me give you the 7 principles of influence from Robert Cialdini's research. These are psychological triggers that affect human decision-making. They work whether you know about them or not. The question is whether you'll use them ethically or whether others will use them on you without your awareness. Principle 1 is reciprocity. When someone gives you something, you feel obligated to give something back. This is deeply wired. Across all cultures, reciprocity is a fundamental social rule. When someone does you a favor, you feel indebted. You want to return the favor. This is why free samples work. The coffee shop gives you a free taste. You feel slightly obligated to buy. Not manipulated, just influenced by the gift. How to use this ethically. Give first without expectation. Provide value before asking for anything. Help people genuinely. Share useful information. Make introductions. Solve problems. When you're genuinely helpful, people naturally want to help you back. Not because you demanded it, but because reciprocity is human nature. Example: a salesperson who spends 30 minutes teaching you about the product category, helping you understand what you actually need, even if it's not what they sell, has just given you value. When it comes time to buy, even if you go elsewhere, you'll remember them. And often, you'll buy from them because they helped first. Principle 2 is commitment and consistency. Once people commit to something, even something small, they're more likely to follow through with related bigger commitments. Because humans desire to be consistent with their previous choices. We don't want to see ourselves as inconsistent or flaky. Small yeses lead to big yeses. How to use this ethically. Start with small agreements. Get people saying yes to little things. Do you value your health? Yes. Do you want to feel better? Yes. Would you be open to exploring options? Yes. Each yes creates momentum. But the key is, these need to be genuine agreements about things they actually care about, not manipulative tricks. Example: you're trying to get your team to adopt a new system. Don't start by asking them to commit to the whole change. Start by asking, do you agree our current process has inefficiencies? Get that agreement first. Then, would you be open to exploring solutions? Another agreement. Then, if we found something that addressed these issues, would you be willing to try it? You're building commitment progressively, not demanding it all at once. Principle 3 is social proof. People follow the crowd. When we're uncertain, we look to what others are doing. If 10,000 people bought this, it must be good. If everyone else is doing it, it must be right. This is why testimonials work, why we show popularity metrics, why we say, join thousands of others who have already. How to use this ethically. Show real proof that real people have benefited, not fake reviews, not manufactured popularity, real social proof, real testimonials from real people, real numbers if you have them. People want to know they're not the first to take this risk. They want to know others have gone before them and it worked out. Example: instead of saying, this is a great program, you should join, say, over 5,000 people have gone through this program. Here are 3 of their stories. Now they can see themselves in those stories. They can imagine similar results. Social proof reduces perceived risk. Principle 4 is authority. We respect credibility and expertise. When someone has credentials, experience, knowledge, we're more likely to trust and follow their recommendations. This is why doctors wear white coats, why lawyers have diplomas on the wall, why experts cite their qualifications. Authority signals competence. How to use this ethically. Build genuine authority. Develop real expertise. Get real credentials if relevant. Cite real experts who support your position. Don't fake authority. Build it. And when you have it, use it to serve, not to dominate. Example: if you're giving health advice, cite the research. Reference the experts. Show your credentials if you have them. If you don't have formal authority, borrow it. Share what the experts say. This isn't about ego. It's about giving people reason to trust that what you're saying has substance behind it. Principle 5 is liking. We say yes to people we like. Simple as that. And we like people who are similar to us, who complement us, who cooperate with us. This is why rapport building matters. This is why finding common ground works. This is why genuine compliments are powerful. How to use this ethically. Be genuinely interested in people. Find real common ground. Don't manufacture fake similarity. Give sincere compliments about things you actually appreciate. Work cooperatively, not competitively. People can sense fake. Be real. Example. Before making your pitch or ask, connect as humans. Find what you have in common. Maybe you're both parents. Maybe you both love hiking. Maybe you went to schools in the same city. These aren't manipulations. These are real connections. And real connections make people more open to hearing you. Principle 6 is scarcity. We want what's rare or limited. When something might go away, we want it more. This is why limited time offers work. Why only 3 spots left is compelling. Our brains are wired to avoid loss more than to seek gain. Scarcity triggers loss aversion. How to use this ethically. If something actually is limited, say so. If there are real deadlines, communicate them. If spots are genuinely limited, be honest about it. Don't create fake scarcity. That's manipulation. But if resources, time, or opportunities genuinely are limited, it's fair to communicate that. Example, I can only take 3 more clients this quarter. That's not manipulation if it's true. It's information. The person can decide if they want to be one of those 3 or wait. You're not pressuring. You're informing about real constraints. Principle 7 is unity. Shared identity creates connection. When people feel we're part of the same tribe, the same group, the same movement, they're more likely to say yes. This is deeper than liking. This is belonging. We're all in this together. We share this identity. How to use this ethically. Build real community around shared values. Create genuine belonging, not fake tribalism. Use we language when it's true. We're all facing this challenge. We all want this outcome. Don't create false us versus them. Create real unity based on authentic shared purpose. Example. In a team meeting, we all want this project to succeed. We're all invested in this outcome. We're in this together. That unity makes people more willing to collaborate, compromise, contribute. Because it's not you against them. It's all of us working towards something together. Now here's the critical warning. These principles work. They influence behavior. You can use them to serve or to exploit. The difference is always intent. Are you helping people make good decisions for themselves? Or are you getting them to do what benefits you at their expense? Always ask that question. Always choose service over manipulation. Let me show you something powerful. The contrast effect. How you present information changes how it's perceived. 90% success rate sounds amazing. 10% failure rate sounds concerning. Same information, different frame. The context you create shapes perception. How to use this ethically. Frame things accurately but favorably. If you're presenting options, present the less attractive option first. Then the one you're recommending seems even better by contrast. But both options need to be real. Both need to be legitimate. You're not lying. You're presenting in a way that helps them see the value. One more powerful technique. The power of because. Research shows that giving any reason, even a weak one, increases compliance dramatically. Can I cut in line because I'm in a rush? 70% compliance. Can I cut in line? 60%. The word because signals there's a reason. Even if the reason isn't great, it increases agreement. How to use this ethically. Explain your why. Don't just ask. Give context. I'd like to meet next week because I have time-sensitive information to share. I'm asking for your feedback because I value your expertise. The because gives them understanding and increases buy-in. Here's the truth about ethical influence. When you're genuinely trying to help someone make a good decision, when you're offering real value, when your intent is service, using these principles is not manipulation. It's effective communication. You're removing obstacles to decisions that benefit them. That's not wrong. That's skillful. The power of questions. Now let's talk about the most underrated communication tool. Questions, not statements, not commands. Questions. Because questions do something statements can't. Questions create ownership. When you tell someone what to do, they might comply. When you ask them questions that lead them to the right conclusion, they believe it because they came up with it themselves. This is the Socratic method, named after Socrates, who taught by asking questions, not giving answers. He would guide people to insights through inquiry. Why? Because people don't argue with their own conclusions. When you tell me I'm wrong, I defend. When you ask me questions that help me see I'm wrong, I change my mind. The path matters as much as the destination. Let me give you the 6 question types and when to use each. Open questions. These explore. They can't be answered with yes or no. They invite elaboration. What do you think about this? How do you feel about that? Tell me more. These are for understanding, for going deeper, for giving someone space to process out loud. Use these when you want to understand, when you want to build connection, when you want someone to think more deeply. Closed questions. These confirm yes or no answers. Did you complete this? Are you available Tuesday? Simple, direct, efficient. Use these when you need specific information, when you need confirmation, when open questions would be inefficient. Probing questions. These deepen. They follow up on something already said. Tell me more about that. What did you mean by, can you give me an example? These show you're listening. They help the other person clarify their own thinking. Use these in coaching, in therapy, in any conversation where depth matters. Leading questions. These influence. The question suggests the answer. Wouldn't you agree that quality matters more than price? Don't you think we should prioritize this? Be careful with these. They can feel manipulative if overused, but they're useful when you're trying to get agreement on something you believe is genuinely in their best interest. Reflective questions. These mirror. The person shares something and you reflect it back as a question. You seem frustrated, are you? It sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed, is that right? These validate emotion. They show you're hearing the feeling, not just the words. Use these in any emotionally charged conversation. Hypothetical questions. These explore possibilities. What if we tried this approach? How would this look if it was working perfectly? If money wasn't a constraint, what would you do? These free people from current limitations. They access creativity. They help people see beyond the immediate problem. Now, the coaching question that changes everything. 4 words. What else? Someone gives you an answer. Don't move on. Ask. What else? They give you another answer. Ask again. What else? The first answer is usually the surface answer. The second is deeper. The third is often where the real insight lives. Keep asking what else until they truly have nothing more. This question alone can transform conversations. The powerful pause after asking. Most people ask a question and then, when silence happens, they get uncomfortable and either answer it themselves or ask another question. Don't. Ask your question. Then be silent. 5 to 7 seconds. Just wait. Let the silence sit. It will feel uncomfortable to you. Perfect. That discomfort is productive. The other person is thinking. Give them space to think. The best answers come after the pause. How to use questions to diffuse tension. When someone is angry or defensive, questions are your best tool, not statements, not explanations, questions. Help me understand your perspective. What would a good solution look like to you? What matters most to you about this? Questions shift them from emotional reaction to rational thinking. Questions show you care about their view. Questions de-escalate. Example. Someone is angry about a decision you made. Don't defend. Ask, I can see you're upset about this. Help me understand what's concerning you most. Then listen. Then ask more questions. What would have been a better approach in your view? What would need to happen for this to work for you? You're not debating. You're understanding. And often, Just being heard deflates the anger. The funnel technique. Start broad, then narrow. Begin with wide-open questions to explore the territory, then gradually ask more specific questions to zero in on what matters. What are your biggest challenges right now? Among those, which one is causing the most problems? What specifically about that challenge is hardest? This guides the conversation from general to specific without forcing. Now, the danger. Questions can become interrogation. If you're firing questions rapid fire with no sharing from your side, if you're asking probing questions without building rapport first, it feels like an attack. The tone matters. Your intent matters. Questions should feel like curiosity, not cross-examination. Share vulnerably yourself. Balance asking with offering. Make it a dialogue, not an interrogation. Here's a practice. For the next 3 conversations you have, try to ask twice as many questions as statements. Listen to yourself. How often are you making statements versus asking questions? Most people make statements 90% of the time. Try 60% questions, 40% statements. Watch how the conversation changes. Watch how much more you learn. Watch how much more connected the other person feels. The truth about questions is this: statements assert, questions explore, statements close, questions open, statements create defensiveness, questions create curiosity. When you shift from telling to asking, you shift the entire dynamic of your communication. You become a leader who develops others, a partner who truly understands, a professional who solves real problems instead of assumed ones. Master questions, and you'll influence more powerfully than any pitch ever could. Negotiation essentials. Now let's talk about negotiation. And I need to reframe what negotiation is. Most people think negotiation is about winning, getting the best deal for yourself, extracting maximum value from the other side. That's not negotiation, that's combat, and it damages relationships. Real negotiation is collaborative problem solving. 2 parties trying to find a solution that meets both of their interests, not their positions, their interests. This distinction is everything. Positions are what people say they want. I want a $100,000 salary. I want you to take out the trash. I want to close this deal by Friday. Positions are surface level. They're the demand, the ask, the stance. Interests are why they want it. What's beneath the position? I want a $100,000 salary because I need to feel valued and support my family. I want you to take out the trash because I need to feel like we're equal partners in maintaining our home. I want to close this deal by Friday because I have a quota deadline and my bonus depends on it. When you negotiate from positions, you're stuck. Either I get what I want or you do. Win-lose. But when you understand interests, you can find creative solutions that meet both sets of interests in ways neither person initially imagined. This is the shift from competitive to collaborative negotiation. Let me give you the negotiation framework. 7 steps that work whether you're negotiating salary, contracts, household chores, or global treaties. Step 1. Prepare. Know your BATNA. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. What will you do if this negotiation fails? What are your other options? This is your power in negotiation. If your best alternative to a negotiated agreement is strong, you can walk away. If it's weak, you have less leverage. Always know your best alternative to a negotiated agreement before you negotiate. Also know what you want and why. What's your ideal outcome? What's your acceptable minimum? What are your real interests? Don't go in unclear. Clarity is power. Step 2. Build rapport. Don't go straight to negotiation. Connect first. Find common ground. Establish that you're humans, not adversaries. Small talk isn't wasted time. It's foundation building. People negotiate more generously with people they like and trust. Invest 5 minutes in connection. It will pay dividends. Step 3. Understand their interests. Ask questions. Listen deeply. What do they really need? Not just what they're asking for. Why do they need it? What problem are they trying to solve? What constraints are they under? The more you understand their interests, the more creative you can be in meeting them while also meeting yours. Use questions like, "Help me understand what's most important to you about this. What would success look like from your perspective? What challenges are you facing that I should know about?" You're gathering intelligence, but you're also building trust by showing you care about their needs. Step 4. Make it collaborative. Frame it as us versus the problem, not me versus you. How can we both win? What solution works for both of us? Let's put our heads together and figure this out. Language matters. We, us, together, not I, you, sides. This shifts the entire energy from adversarial to collaborative. Step 5. Create options. Brainstorm multiple solutions. Don't lock onto one idea and fight for it. Generate 5 or 6 possibilities. Some will favor you more, some them, some split the difference. The goal is to expand the pie before dividing it. Often there are creative solutions neither side thought of initially that satisfy both better than either original position. Step 6. Use objective criteria. Don't just argue about what each side wants. Reference external standards. What's the market rate for this? What do industry benchmarks say? What's fair based on comparable situations? Objective criteria depersonalize the negotiation. It's not about me winning or you losing. It's about what's fair based on external reference points. Step 7. Know when to walk away. Not every negotiation should succeed. If the deal doesn't meet your interests and your BATNA is better, walk away. But walk away respectfully. Leave the door open. Today's failed negotiation might be tomorrow's opportunity. Never burn bridges just because you couldn't reach agreement. Now let me give you some specific techniques that work. The anchoring effect. The first number put on the table influences everything that follows. If you're selling something worth $50,000 and you start at $70,000, their counter will be higher than if you start at $55,000. The anchor pulls the negotiation toward it. If you can ethically anchor high when selling or low when buying, you create advantage, but it has to be within the realm of reasonable or you lose credibility. The flinch technique. When they make an offer, show visible reaction, raise eyebrows, pause, let out a small sigh, say nothing for 3 seconds. This creates doubt in their mind. Maybe their offer wasn't as good as they thought. Often they'll improve it without you saying a word. You didn't argue, you didn't counter, you just reacted. And that reaction influenced them. The power of silence. After making an offer, shut up. Whoever speaks first after an offer loses ground. Make your offer, then be quiet. Let them sit with it. Let them respond. Don't fill the silence with justification or explanation. The silence creates pressure on them, not you. Silence is one of the most powerful negotiation tools, and most people are too uncomfortable to use it. Trading, not conceding. Never give something without getting something. If they ask you to lower price, ask what they'll give in return. If you can do X, I can do Y. If I agree to this timeline, what can you do on payment terms? Every concession you make should be paired with a get. This keeps the negotiation balanced. The door in the face technique. Ask for something big first. They say no. Then ask for what you actually wanted, which seems reasonable by comparison. Can you give me a 20% discount? Number. Okay, how about 10%? The 10% seems more reasonable because you started higher. But be careful not to anchor so absurdly high that you lose credibility. Handling pressure tactics. Because some people will use them on you. This is our final offer is a classic pressure tactic. Don't fold. Respond with, help me understand why this is the final offer. What flexibility exists if we can solve X concern? Often the final offer becomes flexible when pushed gently. Take it or leave it is another one. This is meant to force a quick decision. Don't be forced. I need time to consider this. If it's truly take it or leave it, you need to honor that. If not, I'll need to leave it. Often they'll back down because they'd rather negotiate than lose the deal. The key to resisting pressure is staying calm, not reacting emotionally, asking questions, buying time, remembering your BATNA. You always have the option to walk away. That's your power. One more critical principle. Separate the people from the problem. You're not negotiating against a person. You're both negotiating with a problem. How do we find a solution that works? This keeps it from getting personal, from damaging the relationship. Be hard on the problem, soft on the person. Let me give you a quick story. Someone negotiating salary. Position, I want 100,000. Company position, we can offer 80,000. Stalemate if you negotiate positions. But she understood interests. She asked, help me understand the constraints on salary. They explained budget limitations for the role. She asked, what flexibility exists in other areas? They had flexibility in stock options, signing bonus, flexible schedule, professional development budget. She proposed 85,000 base plus stock options equivalent to the 15,000 gap plus flexible remote work. Company said yes. She got value equivalent to what she wanted. Company stayed within salary constraints. Both won because they negotiated interests, not positions. That's negotiation done right, collaborative, creative, focused on interests, maintaining relationship, both sides feeling good about the outcome. That's what you're aiming for, not winning, solving. Master negotiation, and you'll get more of what you want while strengthening relationships instead of damaging them. That's power. Act 6. Professional and Relationship Communication. Relationship communication, deep dive. Now we go into the most important and most challenging communication context: intimate relationships, romantic partnerships, family, close friendships. These relationships require different communication skills because the stakes are higher, the emotions are deeper, and the patterns run back to childhood. Let me start with something that will reframe how you think about relationship problems. Most relationship issues are not actually about the thing you're arguing about. They're about unmet needs underneath. The argument about dishes isn't about dishes. It's about feeling unvalued, unequal, unseen. The argument about money isn't about money. It's about security, control, different values. If you only address the surface issue, the argument will repeat forever in different forms. You have to go deeper. Let's talk about the 5 love languages from Gary Chapman. This framework explains why people feel unloved even when their partner is showing love. Because they're showing love in their language, not their partner's language. Love language 1 is words of affirmation. These people feel loved through verbal appreciation, encouragement, compliments. I love you. I'm proud of you. You did a great job. You look beautiful. Words matter enormously to them. Criticism wounds them deeply. If your partner's primary language is words, and you never verbally affirm them, they will feel unloved no matter what else you do. Love language 2 is quality time. These people feel loved through undivided attention, sitting together without phones, conversations where you're fully present, doing activities together. It's not about quantity of time, it's about quality. If you're physically present but mentally absent, they feel alone. If your partner needs quality time and you're always distracted, always busy, they will feel neglected. Love language 3 is acts of service. These people feel loved when you do things for them. Cook dinner. Fix the thing that's broken. Handle the task they dread. Actions speak louder than words for them. They show love by doing. They receive love by you doing. If your partner's language is acts of service and you say I love you but never help, they don't feel it. Love language 4 is physical touch. These people feel loved through physical connection. Holding hands, hugs, sitting close, physical affection. This isn't just about sex. It's about touch in all forms. Long periods without touch make them feel disconnected. If your partner needs physical touch, and you're not naturally touchy, they will feel distant, even if you're expressing love in other ways. Love language 5 is gifts. These people feel loved through tangible symbols of thoughtfulness. It's not about materialism, it's about the thought behind the gift. Something that shows you were thinking of them, that you know them, that you care. The gift can be small, but the meaning is large. If your partner's language is gifts, and you never get them anything, they feel forgotten. Here's what matters. You likely have a primary language, maybe a secondary, and your partner has theirs. If you're both speaking different languages, you can be pouring love into the relationship, and both feel unloved because you're not speaking each other's language. The solution is learn your partner's language. Show love the way they receive it, not just the way you give it. Now let me introduce you to the 4 horsemen from John Gottman's research. Gottman can predict with over 90% accuracy whether a couple will divorce just by watching them argue for 15 minutes. What does he look for? The 4 horsemen. These are communication patterns that destroy relationships. Horseman 1 is criticism. This is attacking character, not addressing behavior. You're so selfish versus, when you forgot to call, I felt unimportant. Criticism makes it about who they are. The person feels fundamentally flawed. They defend. The solution is to complain about specific behavior without attacking character. Horseman 2 is contempt. This is disgust, superiority, disdain, eye-rolling, mocking, name-calling, treating them as beneath you. Gottman calls this the most corrosive. Contempt is the strongest predictor of divorce. Because once contempt enters, respect is gone. And without respect, the relationship is dead. The solution is to build a culture of appreciation. Catch them doing things right. Express gratitude. Treat them with honor even when you disagree. Horseman 3 is defensiveness. This is playing the victim, making excuses, reversing blame. It's not my fault, it's yours. I only did that because you did this. Defensiveness blocks resolution because no one takes responsibility. The solution is to accept responsibility for your part, even if it's only partial. Yes, I did do that. You're right. I'm sorry. This deflates conflict immediately. Horseman 4 is stonewalling. This is withdrawal, shutting down, refusing to engage, silent treatment, walking away. Stonewalling happens when someone is emotionally flooded and can't process anymore, but it feels like abandonment to the other person. The solution is to take breaks, but come back. I need 20 minutes to calm down, then I want to finish this conversation. Not, I'm done, I'm leaving. But I need a break. I'll be back. If you see the 4 horsemen in your relationship, you need to address them immediately. They're not normal conflict. They're relationship killers. Now, the repair attempt. This is what saves relationships. A repair attempt is anything you do or say to prevent escalation or to reconnect during conflict. Wait, I'm sorry. Can we start over? I love you. Let's take a break. That came out wrong. Let me try again. Even humor can be a repair attempt if it's not contemptuous. Successful relationships aren't ones without conflict. They're ones where repair attempts are made and received. The key is both people have to be willing. One person can't repair alone. But if both are willing, repair attempts work miracles. Let's talk about fighting fair. There are rules that protect the relationship while allowing healthy conflict. No always or never. These are absolutes. You always do this. You never help. Absolutes make people defensive because they're rarely true. Instead, be specific. This week, you forgot twice. Yesterday, you didn't help. No bringing up the past. Deal with the present issue. Don't weaponize old mistakes. If you keep score, you both lose. Let the past stay past unless it's unresolved. If it's unresolved, have a separate conversation about that issue. Don't mix conflicts. No name-calling, ever. The moment you call someone a name, you've moved from the issue to attacking them. You can't unring that bell. Words wound. Don't say things you can't take back. Take breaks if escalating. If you feel flooded, if your heart rate is over 90 beats per minute, You cannot think clearly. Your prefrontal cortex is offline. Call a timeout, 20 minutes minimum. Calm your nervous system. Then return to the conversation. One issue at a time. Don't pile on. Don't kitchen sink. If you're talking about dishes and you bring up how they talked to your mother last month, you're derailing. Stay focused on one issue until it's resolved, or at least understood. Now, the magic ratio. Gottman's research shows you need 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction to maintain a healthy relationship. 5 to 1. If the ratio dips below that, the relationship is at risk. This means you need to build a bank of positive moments: appreciation, affection, fun, laughter, connection. So when conflict comes, you can afford it. If your relationship is all conflict with no positivity, it will die. Active listening in conflicts. This is critical. When your partner is upset, before you explain or defend, you need to show you heard them. What I hear you saying is that right? You're feeling because, did I get that right? You're reflecting back their emotion and their concern. You're validating, not agreeing, validating. I can see why you'd feel that way. This doesn't mean you're wrong. This means I understand you. Once people feel heard, they can often release the intensity and move to problem solving. Family communication dynamics. Parent to child requires age-appropriate language, consistency, respect. Even small children deserve respect. You don't talk down. You talk at their level but with dignity. With teenagers, you shift from control to influence. You can't force compliance anymore. You need to guide, advise, but ultimately let them make choices and learn from consequences. With adult children, you shift to peer relationship. They're adults. Treat them as such. Offer advice only when asked. Respect their autonomy. Sibling communication often carries childhood wounds, rivalry comparison, old grudges. As adults, you have to renegotiate. You're not children anymore. You can create new patterns. But it requires both siblings being willing to let go of old roles. In-laws are challenging because boundaries are unclear. The key is united front with your partner. You two are the team. In-laws are outside that core. Your partner handles their family. You handle yours. And you support each other in setting boundaries without either of you having to be the bad guy. Here's the truth. Most relationship problems are communication problems, not compatibility problems, not love problems, communication problems. Two people who love each other can create misery through poor communication. Two people who are decent at loving but excellent at communicating can create joy. Learn to communicate well and most relationship issues become solvable. Let me tell you about a couple on the brink, married 15 years, 2 kids, constant fighting. Both felt unloved, unheard, exhausted. They were about to separate. They came for help as a last attempt. What we discovered was they had different love languages. He was acts of service. He showed love by providing, fixing things, working hard. She was quality time. She showed love by wanting to talk, connect, spend time together. He felt unappreciated because she didn't acknowledge all he did. She felt neglected because he never just sat and talked with her. Both were pouring love in. Both felt empty because they weren't speaking each other's language. They also had all 4 horsemen present: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling. Every conflict escalated into character attacks and shutdown. No repair attempts were successful because neither could regulate their emotions long enough to receive one. So they learned. They each started showing love in the other's language. He scheduled 30 minutes every evening for undistracted conversation. She started verbally acknowledging all he did. They agreed to no criticism, only complaints about specific behavior. They practiced taking breaks when flooded. They made repair attempts and actually received them. The marriage transformed. Not overnight. It took 3 months of consistent practice, but they went from brink of divorce to feeling like they were dating again. Because they learned to communicate. They learned each other's language. They learned to fight fair. They learned to repair. That's the power of communication in relationships. It's not magic, it's skill. And it's the skill that determines whether love survives or dies. Professional scenarios. Now let's get specific about professional communication. Job interviews, networking, workplace dynamics. These require different skills than personal relationships. Let's make you excellent at all of them. Let's start with job interviews. The interview is a conversation, not an interrogation. Yes, they're evaluating you, but you're also evaluating them. This shift in mindset changes your energy from desperate to discerning. You're not begging for a job. You're exploring if this is a mutual fit. Before the interview, research. Company website, recent news, LinkedIn profiles of interviewers if you know who they are. You need context. You need to understand their world. This allows you to speak their language, reference their challenges, show you've done homework. Now, the STAR method for behavioral questions. Most interviews include questions like, "Tell me about a time when you faced a challenge," or "Give me an example of when you led a team." These are behavioral questions. They want stories, not theories. STAR gives you the structure. S is situation. Set the context briefly. Where, when, what was happening. Don't spend too long here. 30 seconds max. At my previous company during Q4, we had a major client threatening to leave. T is task. What was the challenge or goal? What were you trying to accomplish? My task was to understand their concerns and find a solution within 2 weeks. A is action. This is the meat. What did you specifically do? Not what the team did, what you did. Use I, not we. Be specific. I scheduled 3 calls with their executive team. I analyzed their pain points. I proposed a customized solution. I coordinated with our technical team to implement it in 1 week instead of the usual 4. R is result. What happened? Quantify if possible. We retained the client. They expanded their contract by 30% the following quarter. I learned that proactive communication and quick action can turn around even difficult situations. This structure keeps your answers concise, relevant, and impressive. Practice STAR, responses for common questions before the interview. Common questions decoded. Tell me about yourself. This is not your life story. This is your professional narrative in 2 minutes. I've spent the last 5 years in X industry, focusing on Y. My most recent role was Z, where I achieved A and B. I'm here because C about your company aligns with D about my goals. Professional highlights, relevant experience, why you're here. That's it. What's your weakness? Don't say I work too hard or I'm a perfectionist. Everyone sees through that. Give a real weakness that's not a deal breaker and show how you're actively working on it. I tend to focus so much on the work that I sometimes forget to communicate progress to stakeholders. I've been working on this by setting weekly check-ins and using project management tools to keep everyone updated. Real weakness, real improvement effort. Why do you want to work here? This is where your research pays off. Don't say, it's a great company. Say specifically, what about them aligns with what you value? I've been following your work in sustainable technology. Your recent project on X aligns with my passion for Y. I'm particularly excited about your company culture of Z, which matches how I work best. Specific, genuine, connected to their actual work. Do you have questions for us? Always have 3 thoughtful questions prepared. Never ask about salary or benefits in the first interview unless they bring it up. Ask about culture, challenges, success metrics, team dynamics. What does success look like in this role in the first 90 days? How would you describe the team culture? What are the biggest challenges facing the team right now? These show you're thinking seriously about the role. Body language in interviews. Firm handshake. Not crushing, not limp. Firm. Maintain eye contact 60 to 70% of the time. Not staring, not avoiding. Natural, engaged eye contact. Lean slightly forward. This shows interest, engagement. Don't lean back. That reads as disinterested or overly casual. Mirror the interviewer's energy. If they're formal, match that. If they're relaxed, you can relax too. But let them set the tone. The follow-up. Within 24 hours, send an email. Thank them for their time. Reference something specific from the conversation. Reiterate your interest. Keep it brief. 3 to 4 sentences. This keeps you top of mind and shows professionalism. Now, salary negotiation in interviews. Critical rule: let them name a number first if possible. When they ask what salary you're looking for, deflect. I'm more interested in finding the right fit. I'm sure you have a range budgeted for this role. What is that range? If they press, give a wide range with your goal at the bottom of what you think they'll offer. Based on my research of market rates for this role, I'm looking at something in the $80,000 to $95,000 range, depending on the full compensation package. Now, if they offer 80, you're not insulted. If they offer 95, you're thrilled. And you've positioned 95 as reasonable. Now let's talk about networking and small talk. Networking is not card collecting. It's not about how many people you meet. It's about building genuine relationships with people who might be able to help you or who you might be able to help. Quality over quantity always. Breaking the ice. At networking events, at conferences, in professional settings, you need to be able to start conversations with strangers. Situational comments work well. Great turnout today, right? This speaker was fantastic, don't you think? Comments about the shared environment. Genuine compliments work. I noticed your presentation earlier. That point about X really resonated. Ask about them. What brings you here today? What's your role at your company? People love talking about themselves. Let them. The Ford conversation framework. When you're past the initial small talk and want to go deeper, use FORD. F is family. But be careful. Don't assume. Are you from this area originally? Do you have family nearby? Don't ask if they're married or have kids unless they mention it. Family structures vary and you don't want to step into sensitive territory. O is occupation. What do you do? What's that like? What got you into that field? This is safe territory. Most professionals are comfortable talking about their work. R is recreation. What do you do for fun? Any hobbies? Travel plans? This reveals personality and creates connection points. Oh, you hike? So do I. Have you tried that trail? D is dreams. Where do you want to go in your career? What are you working toward? What excites you? This is where meaningful conversation happens. This is where you move beyond small talk to real connection. Moving beyond small talk requires vulnerability. You have to share something real, not just safe surface topics. What you're struggling with, what you're excited about, what you're learning. When you're willing to be real, others usually reciprocate. And that's where relationships actually form. The memorable exit. When it's time to move on, don't just disappear. I've really enjoyed talking with you. Let's stay in touch. Exchange contact information. Be specific about follow-up. I'd love to grab coffee and hear more about your work in X. Are you available next week? Specific is better than vague. Let's grab coffee sometime usually means never. Following up after networking. Within 48 hours, send a message. LinkedIn works. Email if you have it. Reference your conversation specifically. It was great meeting you at X and talking about Y. I thought you might find this article on Z interesting given what you mentioned. Offer value before asking. Don't immediately pitch or ask for something. Build the relationship first. Email networking for cold outreach. When you're reaching out to someone you don't know, keep it short. 5 sentences maximum. Who you are, why you're reaching out, what specific thing you're asking for. Make it easy to say yes. I'm a marketing professional interested in your work in X. I'm hoping to learn from your experience. Would you be open to a 15-minute call in the next 2 weeks? I'm happy to work around your schedule. Short, specific, easy. Those are the keys. Long rambling emails don't get read. Vague requests don't get responses. Difficult asks don't get yeses. The secret of networking. Focus on giving, not getting. How can you help others? Can you make introductions, share resources, offer your expertise? When you approach networking as, how can I help you, instead of, what can you do for me, people want to help you back. Reciprocity. It's human nature. Remembering names. This is crucial. People love hearing their own name. When you meet someone, repeat their name immediately. Nice to meet you, Sarah. Use it in the conversation. So, Sarah, what brings you here? Use it when you part. Great talking with you, Sarah. Repetition helps encode it. Associate their name with something. Maybe they look like another Sarah you know. Maybe their name rhymes with something. Anything that creates a mental hook. The truth about professional communication. It's still human communication. Yes, there are conventions. Yes, there's professionalism. But underneath, it's still humans connecting with humans. The same principles apply. Listening, authenticity, curiosity, reciprocity, respect. Master those in any context, and you'll succeed professionally. Act 7. Advanced Mastery. Voice and presence training. Now we go deeper into something most people never think about, but that shapes how others perceive you every single day. Your voice. How you sound matters as much as what you say. Your voice reveals emotion, confidence, status, authenticity. Let's train it. Your voice is an instrument with 4 key elements you can control: volume, pitch, pace, and tone. Most people let these happen randomly. You're going to be intentional. Volume. This is how loud or soft you speak. Volume communicates confidence and emotion. Speaking too softly makes you seem uncertain, nervous, unimportant. Speaking too loudly makes you seem aggressive, insecure, trying too hard. The goal is to project from your diaphragm, not your throat. When you speak from your throat, your voice is thin, strained, tiring. When you speak from your diaphragm, your voice is full, resonant, effortless. Place your hand on your belly. Breathe deep so your belly expands. Now speak while keeping that breath engaged. That's diaphragmatic speaking. Practice this until it's natural. Pitch. This is how high or low your voice is. Lower voices are perceived as more authoritative, more confident, more trustworthy. Not fair, but true across cultures. If you have a naturally higher voice, you can train it lower by relaxing your throat and speaking from a more grounded place. But more important than absolute pitch is variation. Monotone kills engagement. Your pitch should go up and down naturally as you speak. Up for questions, down for statements, up for excitement, down for seriousness. Vary your pitch, and people stay engaged. Pace. This is how fast or slow you speak. Most nervous speakers rush. They want to get through it and get off stage. But rushing makes you hard to follow and makes you seem anxious. Optimal pace is 120 to 150 words per minute. Most people go closer to 200 when nervous. Deliberately slow down. It will feel painfully slow to you. It will sound perfect to them. And slow down even more for important points. When you want something to land, cut your speed in half. Tone. This is the emotional quality of your voice. Warm, cold, friendly, harsh, sarcastic, sincere. Tone communicates emotion more than words. I'm fine said with warmth means I'm actually fine. I'm fine said with ice means I'm not fine, and you should know it. Your tone should match your intent. If you want to connect, warmth. If you want to command, authority. If you want to inspire, passion. Tone is about congruence between your emotion and your voice. Now let's talk about vocal exercises. Your voice is physical. It needs warm-up, just like any instrument or athlete. Breathing exercise. Deep diaphragmatic breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Do this 10 times. This oxygenates your blood, calms your nerves, prepares your voice. Humming. Hum at a comfortable pitch for 30 seconds. Feel the vibration in your face, your chest. This warms up your vocal cords, creates resonance, prepares you to speak. Lip trills, like a horse. Blow air through closed lips so they vibrate. This releases tension in your face and vocal cords. 30 seconds. Tongue twisters. These loosen your articulation muscles. Red leather, yellow leather. Unique New York. She sells seashells. Say them slowly and clearly 5 times each. Then speed up. This prepares you for clear speech. Now, eliminating filler words. So. These are verbal tics that undermine your credibility. They make you sound uncertain, unprepared, young. Here's how to eliminate them. First, awareness. Record yourself speaking for 2 minutes about anything. Count your filler words. Most people are shocked. Awareness is the first step to change. Second, replace filler words with pause. When you feel the urge to say, just pause instead. Silence. It feels uncomfortable at first, but a pause sounds confident. Sounds uncertain. Train yourself to pause. Third, slow down overall. Filler words often come from speaking too fast. Your mouth is ahead of your brain. Slow down, and your brain can keep up without fillers. The power of pause. We've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. Silence is one of your most powerful vocal tools. Most people rush through silence because it feels awkward, but strategic silence is gold. Pause before important points. This creates anticipation. It tells the listener something significant is coming. Pay attention to this. Pause after important points. This lets your words land. It gives people time to process. Don't rush to the next sentence. Let the important things sit. Pause after questions. Don't fill the silence. Let the other person think and respond. Pauses make you sound thoughtful, confident, intentional. Rushing makes you sound nervous and forgettable. One more thing. Accent and authentic voice. Some people try to neutralize their accent because they think it makes them sound less credible. Don't. Your accent is part of your identity. Own it. The goal is not to sound like everyone else. The goal is to be clear and confident in your natural voice. If your accent is so strong that people can't understand you, work on clarity, but don't erase yourself. Authenticity is more powerful than homogeneity. Preventing vocal fatigue. If you speak a lot, teaching, presenting, sales, your voice can get tired. Here's how to protect it. Hydration. Water. Constantly. A hydrated voice is a healthy voice. Rest. Don't push through strain. If your voice hurts, stop. Let it recover. Avoid whispering. Whispering actually strains your vocal cords more than normal speaking. If you need to be quiet, speak softly. Don't whisper. Here's the surprising truth. A great voice can be developed. You're not stuck with the voice you have. You can train it, improve it, make it a more powerful instrument. But it takes practice. Daily practice. 5 minutes a day of vocal exercises. Recording yourself and listening. Being intentional about volume, pitch, pace, tone. Do this consistently, and in 3 months you'll sound like a different person. More confident, more authoritative, more engaging. Your voice is part of your communication. Don't neglect it. Difficult people and toxic communication. Now let's address something everyone deals with, but nobody teaches. Difficult people, toxic people. People whose communication style is dysfunctional, draining, or destructive. You can't fix them, but you can protect yourself while staying productive. Let me give you the 5 difficult personality types and how to handle each. Type 1 is the aggressor. Hostile, attacking, confrontational. They use anger and intimidation to dominate. They interrupt, they raise their voice, they make personal attacks. Being around them feels unsafe. Strategy: stay calm. Don't react emotionally. That's what they want. They want you rattled. Breathe. Lower your voice. Speak slowly. Set clear boundaries. That tone doesn't work for me. I'm happy to discuss this when we can be respectful. If they continue, remove yourself. I'm leaving until you're ready to communicate respectfully. You don't owe anyone access to abuse you. Type 2 is the passive-aggressive. They don't express conflict directly. They express it sideways, through sarcasm, subtle digs, withholding, sabotage. They say everything is fine, but their behavior says otherwise. Strategy. Call it out directly, but kindly. I sense some tension. Are you upset about something? Can we talk about it directly? Force the underground conflict above ground. Don't let it stay in passive-aggressive territory. And if they deny, set a boundary. If you're not upset, great. But if something changes, please tell me directly. I can't respond to hints. Type 3 is the victim. Everything bad happens to them. Nothing is ever their fault. They complain constantly, but never act to change their situation. They drain your energy by pulling you into their helplessness. Strategy. Empathize briefly, then redirect to solutions. That sounds really frustrating. What have you tried to address it? What are you going to do about it? Don't get sucked into the complaining spiral. Acknowledge their feeling, then redirect to action. If they refuse to take action, limit your exposure. You can care without being consumed. Type 4 is the narcissist. Self-centered, manipulative, lacks empathy. Everything is about them. They use people. They charm when they want something, discard when they don't. They violate boundaries repeatedly. Strategy. Gray rock method. Become boring to them. Minimal emotional reaction, brief responses, neutral tone. Narcissists feed on attention and emotion. Don't give them supply. Also, document everything. Narcissists lie, gaslight, rewrite history, keep records, and minimize contact. You cannot have a healthy relationship with someone who fundamentally lacks empathy. Type 5 is the know-it-all. Arrogant, dismissive, always right. They can't admit when they're wrong. They talk over people. They condescend. Being around them feels belittling. Strategy. Ask questions. Let them teach. If you challenge them directly, they dig in. But if you ask questions, you can guide them to see flaws in their own logic without attacking. Also, pick your battles. Sometimes, especially if they're not in power over you, just let them be right. It's not worth the energy. But when it matters, stand your ground with facts. I appreciate your perspective. Here's the data I'm seeing. Let's look at this together. Now, the gray rock method in detail. This is for dealing with toxic people you can't remove from your life. Family members, co-workers, exes you co-parent with. The idea is to become as boring and uninteresting as a gray rock. Give them nothing to latch on to. Minimal emotional reaction. Don't show anger, hurt, excitement, anything. Flat effect. This is hard. But toxic people feed on emotional responses. Don't feed them. Brief responses. 1 or 2 sentences max. No elaboration, no explanations, just the minimum information necessary. Keep communication purely functional. Neutral tone. Don't let your voice show emotion. Flat, calm, neutral. Like you're reading a grocery list. Don't share personal information. No details about your life, your plans, your feelings. Keep everything surface level. Information is power to toxic people. Don't give them ammunition. The goal is to make interaction with you so unrewarding that they lose interest and focus elsewhere. This works. It takes discipline, but it protects your peace. The BIFF response method. This is for written communication with difficult people, especially in professional contexts or co-parenting. BIFF stands for brief, informative, friendly, firm. Brief. 2 to 5 sentences. No more. Don't explain, don't justify, don't elaborate. Informative. Include only relevant facts. No opinions, no emotions, just information they need. Friendly. Maintain professional courtesy. No sarcasm, no digs, just neutral politeness. Firm. State your position clearly. Don't waffle. Don't leave room for manipulation. Example. They send an angry email accusing you of something. Don't match their energy. BIFF response. Thank you for sharing your concerns. Here's what actually happened with specific dates. I'm committed to resolving this. Let me know if you need additional information. Brief, informative, friendly, firm. You didn't engage with their anger. You didn't defend emotionally. You just provided facts and stayed professional, calling out manipulation without escalating. Sometimes you need to name what's happening without creating bigger conflict. I notice you're raising your voice. Let's keep this respectful. That feels like a guilt trip. Let's talk about the actual issue. You're putting words in my mouth. Here's what I actually said. Calm, direct, boundary setting. Not accusing, just observing and redirecting. The broken record technique. When someone keeps pushing after you've set a boundary, calmly repeat your boundary. Same words. No elaboration. No new arguments. Just repeat. I understand, and my answer is no. I hear you, and I'm not available for that. I know this is important to you, and I can't commit to this. Eventually they realize pushing doesn't work. When to walk away, and how. Sometimes the relationship is too toxic to maintain. Recognize the signs: chronic disrespect, abuse, physical or emotional. No willingness to change or take responsibility. Your mental health is deteriorating from the interaction. When these are present, you need an exit. Plan your exit. Have financial independence if it's a romantic relationship. Have support lined up. Have a place to go. Don't exit impulsively in a heated moment. Plan strategically. Execute clearly. Brief. Direct. This relationship isn't working for me. I'm choosing to end it. No long explanations. No debates. You're informing, not discussing. Hold the boundary. They might try to hoover you back. Don't engage. Block if necessary. No contact means no contact. Important truth. You cannot fix toxic people. Only they can fix themselves, and only if they want to. Your job is not to save them. Your job is to protect yourself. You can care about someone and still remove them from your life if they're harming you. That's not cruelty. That's self-preservation. Digital communication excellence. Now let's master modern communication channels. Digital communication is different because there's no tone, no body language, and everything you send is permanent. This creates unique challenges. Let's start with the fundamental problem. Emails are misunderstood 50% of the time. 50%. Because without tone or body language, people project their own emotions onto your words. If they're anxious, they read anxiety. If they're angry, they read anger. You can't control their projection, but you can write clearly enough to minimize misunderstanding. The email excellence formula. Every good email follows this structure. Subject line, specific and actionable, not meeting, but meeting request for Thursday 2 p.m., budget discussion. The subject line should tell them exactly what this is about and what action, if any, you need. Greeting. Match their formality. If they write, hey, you can write hey back. If they write dear, match that. When in doubt, err on formal side until you know the relationship better. Context first. Why are you writing? Open with this. I'm writing to follow up on our conversation about X. I'm reaching out because I need help with Y. Give them the why immediately. Bottom line. Upfront. BLUF. Military communication principle. Put the main point in the first 2 sentences. Don't bury the lead. Don't make them read 3 paragraphs to find out what you want. Main point upfront. Structure. Short paragraphs. 2 to 3 sentences max. White space. Use bullet points if you have multiple items. Make it scannable. No one reads walls of text. Action items. If you need something, be specific. Numbered list. With deadlines. Could you please 1. Review the attached document by Friday. 2. Send me your feedback by email. 3. Confirm your availability for next week's meeting. Clear, specific, actionable. Tone markers. Use these carefully. Exclamation points sparingly. 1 per email, max. They add enthusiasm, but overuse makes you seem unprofessional. Thanks or appreciate it softens requests. Emojis, know your audience. With colleagues you know well, maybe. With clients or superiors, probably not unless they use them first. Signature. Professional. Complete contact info. Name, title, company, phone, email. Make it easy for people to reach you. Email timing strategy. When you send matters. Best times are Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. Worst times are Monday morning when everyone is overwhelmed, Friday afternoon when people are checking out, weekends when people don't want work emails. If you can, schedule send for optimal times. Text message etiquette. Texts are more casual than email, but there are still rules. Response time expectations. Within work hours, 1 to 2 hours is reasonable. Outside work hours, no expectation of immediate response unless it's an emergency. If something is urgent, call. When not to text. Complex issues that need nuance. Emotional conversations that need tone. Bad news. Anything that would be better said in person or over phone. If you're texting and it's getting complicated, stop. This feels like it needs a conversation. Can we talk? Read receipts? These are controversial. Some people love them, some hate them. Know your audience. If someone has them on, they probably expect them from you. If someone has them off, they probably value privacy. Match the culture of your workplace or relationship. Group texts. Use sparingly. They're chaotic. People can't have side conversations without everyone seeing. They're hard to leave. If you must group text, use for coordination only, not for ongoing conversation. Video call presence. This is critical now. Your setup matters. Camera at eye level. Not looking up your nose, not looking down at you. Eye level creates equal status. Lighting from the front. No backlighting. You don't want to be a silhouette. Natural light from a window facing you is ideal. Clean background or use blur. Nothing distracting or unprofessional visible. Professional attire. At least the top half. You might be in pajama pants. Fine. But wear a proper shirt. You're being seen. Mute when not speaking. Background noise is distracting and unprofessional. Look at the camera when speaking, not the screen. This creates eye contact. It's awkward at first, but it makes a difference. Social media communication. Everything you post online is public, even on personal accounts, even with privacy settings. Assume your employer, your clients, your professional network will see everything. Post accordingly. Professionalism matters even on personal platforms. Think before posting. You can't unsend. Screenshots exist. What you post in anger at midnight will be visible in daylight. 24-hour rule. If you're emotional about something, don't post. Wait a day. Reread. Then decide if you still want to send it. Responding to comments. You don't have to respond to everything. Sometimes silence is the most powerful response. If you do respond, stay professional. Don't get into arguments. Don't feed trolls. If someone is being hostile, ignore or block. You don't owe anyone engagement. When to not use digital. Some conversations must happen in person or at minimum over phone. Delivering bad news. You're fired. We're ending the relationship. Someone died. These require human voice at minimum, ideally face-to-face. Complex negotiations. Too much nuance. Too many variables. You need real-time interaction. Emotional conversations. Anything that needs tone, body language, immediate feedback. Digital flattens emotion. Important conversations need dimension. The 24-hour rule for emotional messages. If you write something when you're angry, upset, hurt, don't send it. Save as draft. Wait 24 hours. Come back. Reread. 90% of the time you'll rewrite it or delete it. That 24 hours saves relationships and reputations. Slack and Teams etiquette. Status indicators exist for a reason. Respect them. If someone is in Do Not Disturb, don't message unless urgent. If they're offline, don't expect response. Use threads. Keep conversations organized. Don't derail channels. @mentions, use sparingly. Every @mention is an interruption. Only use when you need that specific person's attention. The truth about digital communication. It's efficient, but it's inferior to face-to-face for anything that matters emotionally or relationally. Use digital for logistics, coordination, quick questions, information sharing. Use in-person or at minimum voice for anything that requires nuance, emotion, conflict resolution, deep connection. Different tools for different purposes. Choose wisely. We've covered an enormous amount: understanding, psychology, skills, tactics, strategies. Now we're going to put it all together into a customized 30-day protocol that will transform how you communicate forever. This isn't theory anymore. This is your roadmap. Week 1 is awareness. This is your foundation week. You can't change what you don't see. So this week is about seeing yourself clearly. Day 1. Record yourself in 3 conversations. Audio minimum, video ideal. 1 at work, 1 with family or friends, 1 in a neutral setting. Don't perform, just record normal conversations. Then watch or listen. This will be uncomfortable. Do it anyway. Note your filler words, your tone, your pace, your body language if you have video. How much do you interrupt? How much do you listen versus talk? Write it all down. This is your baseline. Day 2. Track your listening ratio. In every conversation today, estimate what percentage of the time you're talking versus listening. Be honest. Most people talk 60 to 70% of the time. Your goal is 40% talking, 60% listening. Track it. Awareness creates change. Day 3. Body language audit. Notice your posture, your gestures, your facial expressions throughout the day. Are you open or closed? Do you make eye contact? Do you lean in or pull back? Ask a trusted friend for honest feedback. What do they notice about your body language? Write it down. Day 4. Identify your communication archetype. Go back to Act 1. Are you a hammer, mirror, architect, performer, or sage? What's your primary? What's your secondary? Write it down. Now, identify your shadow. What's the downside of your style? What do you need to watch out for? Awareness of your pattern is the first step to flexibility. Day 5. Map your communication triggers. What situations make you defensive? What topics shut you down? What people bring out your worst communication? When do you interrupt? When do you withdraw? Write down your triggers. These are your growth edges. Day 6. Practice the 3-second pause. Before responding in every conversation today, pause for 3 full seconds. Count in your head. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Then respond. Notice how this changes the quality of your responses. Notice how it changes how people react to you. Day 7. Week 1 reflection. What did you learn about yourself this week? What surprised you? What patterns did you notice? What do you want to work on? Write it down. Celebrate that you did the work. Awareness is already transformation beginning. Week 2 is foundation skills. You're building the core competencies. This week, you add 1 new skill every day and practice it deliberately. Daily practice for the entire week. Eliminate 1 filler word. Just 1. Pick your most common one. Whatever yours is. Every time you're about to say it, pause instead. This alone will change how you sound. Day 8 and 9. Active Listening Boot Camp. Use RASA in every conversation. Receive, appreciate, summarize, ask. Full attention. Show you're listening. Reflect back what you heard. Ask deepening questions. Resist the urge to interrupt, give advice, or one-up. Just listen. Just understand. Day 10 and 11. Body language practice. Conscious open posture all day. Uncross your arms. Face people fully. Maintain eye contact for 3 to 5 seconds at a time. Lean in slightly when listening. Mirror subtly when appropriate. Notice how people respond differently when your body language is intentional. Day 12 and 13. Tone and voice work. Vary your pace deliberately. Speed up for energy, slow down for emphasis. Vary your volume. Louder for passion, softer for intimacy. Use strategic pauses before and after important points. Record yourself again. Compare to day 1. You'll hear the difference. Day 14. Week 2. Reflection. What skills are starting to feel natural? What's still uncomfortable? Celebrate the progress. Week 2 is about repetition until these skills become habits. We've covered an enormous amount. Understanding, psychology, skills, tactics, strategies. Now we're going to put it all together into a customized 30-day protocol that will transform how you communicate forever. This isn't theory anymore. This is your roadmap. Week 1 is awareness. This is your foundation week. You can't change what you don't see. So this week is about seeing yourself clearly. Day 1. Record yourself in 3 conversations. Audio minimum, video ideal. 1 at work, 1 with family or friends, 1 in a neutral setting. Don't perform, just record normal conversations. Then watch or listen. This will be uncomfortable. Do it anyway. Note your filler words, your tone, your pace, your body language if you have video. How much do you interrupt? How much do you listen versus talk? Write it all down. This is your baseline. Day 2. Track your listening ratio. In every conversation today, estimate what percentage of the time you're talking versus listening. Be honest. Most people talk 60 to 70% of the time. Your goal is 40% talking, 60% listening. Track it. Awareness creates change. Day 3. Body language audit. Notice your posture, your gestures, your facial expressions throughout the day. Are you open or closed? Do you make eye contact? Do you lean in or pull back? Ask a trusted friend for honest feedback. What do they notice about your body language? Write it down. Day 4. Identify your communication archetype. Go back to Act 1. Are you a hammer, mirror, architect, performer, or sage? What's your primary? What's your secondary? Write it down. Now identify your shadow. What's the downside of your style? What do you need to watch out for? Awareness of your pattern is the first step to flexibility. Day 5. Map your communication triggers. What situations make you defensive? What topics shut you down? What people bring out your worst communication? When do you interrupt? When do you withdraw? Write down your triggers. These are your growth edges. Day 6. Practice the 3-second pause. Before responding in every conversation today, pause for 3 full seconds. Count in your head. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. Then respond. Notice how this changes the quality of your responses. Notice how it changes how people react to you. Day 7. Week 1. Reflection. What did you learn about yourself this week? What surprised you? What patterns did you notice? What do you want to work on? Write it down. Celebrate that you did the work. Awareness is already transformation beginning. Week 2 is foundation skills. You're building the core competencies. This week you add 1 new skill every day and practice it deliberately. Daily practice for the entire week. Eliminate 1 filler word, just 1. Pick your most common one. Whatever yours is. Every time you're about to say it, pause instead. This alone will change how you sound. Day 8 and 9. Active listening boot camp. Use RASA in every conversation. Receive, appreciate, summarize, ask. Full attention. Show you're listening. Reflect back what you heard. Ask deepening questions. Resist the urge to interrupt, give advice, or one-up. Just listen. Just understand. Day 10 and 11. Body language practice. Conscious open posture all day. Uncross your arms. Face people fully. Maintain eye contact for 3 to 5 seconds at a time. Lean in slightly when listening. Mirror subtly when appropriate. Notice how people respond differently when your body language is intentional. Day 12 and 13. Tone and voice work. Vary your pace deliberately. Speed up for energy. Slow down for emphasis. Vary your volume. Louder for passion, softer for intimacy. Use strategic pauses before and after important points. Record yourself again. Compare to day 1. You'll hear the difference. Day 14. Week 2. Reflection. What skills are starting to feel natural? What's still uncomfortable? Celebrate the progress. Week 2 is about repetition until these skills become habits. Day 21. Debrief and process. How did the difficult conversations go? What went well? What would you do differently? What did you learn about yourself? Write it down. Difficult conversations are skills. Each one you have makes the next one easier. Week 4 is advanced integration. The skills are becoming natural. Now you're adding complexity and depth. Day 22 and 23. Flex your archetype. Identify 3 people in your life with different communication styles. Intentionally adapt your style to each. If you're talking to a hammer and you're usually a mirror, be more direct. If you're talking to a sage and you're usually a performer, slow down and go deeper. Notice how adapting improves connection. Day 24 and 25. Public speaking challenge. Present something. A work meeting, a toast at dinner, record a video, anything where you're speaking to multiple people. Use the structure. Hook in 30 seconds. Promise what they'll get. 3 main points. Call to action. Memorable close. Record it if possible. Review it. What worked? What needs work? Day 26 and 27. Digital communication audit. Review your recent emails, texts, messages. Are they clear, concise, professional? Rewrite 3 messages using the frameworks from Act 7. Practice BIFF for anything that involves conflict. Brief, informative, friendly, firm. Implement the 24-hour rule on 1 emotional message. Write it, save it, wait, then decide if you still want to send it. Day 28. Negotiation practice. Negotiate something. Salary, a purchase price, a deadline, household responsibilities, anything. Use the interests-based approach. Understand their why. Make it collaborative. Create options. Use objective criteria. See if you can reach win-win. Day 29. Integration day. Use all the skills in one day. Deep listening, intentional body language, voice control, difficult conversation, boundary setting, adaptation to different styles. This is you operating at your new level. Notice how different it feels from day 1. Day 30. Full assessment and next 30 days planning. Record yourself again in 3 conversations like you did on day 1. Compare. You'll be amazed at the difference. Reflect on the entire month. What changed? What's natural now that was hard before? What still needs work? Plan your next 30 days. What skills do you want to deepen? What new challenges will you take on? Daily non-negotiables for all 30 days. Morning. Set a communication intention. Today I will listen more than I speak. Today I will be fully present. Today I will communicate to connect, not to win. 1 intention. Hold it all day. Evening. 5-minute reflection. What was my best communication moment today? What could I have done better? 1 thing to practice tomorrow. This reflection cements learning. Without reflection, you just have experiences. With reflection, you have growth. Weekly. Review your progress. Re-record yourself. Compare to previous weeks. Notice improvement. Adjust focus areas. What's working? Do more. What's not working? Try something different. Measurement metrics. Track these throughout the month. Filler words per minute. Count them. Watch them decrease. Listening ratio. Aim for 60% listening, 40% talking. Difficult conversations completed. How many did you have that you would have avoided before? Positive feedback received. Are people commenting that something's different about you? How you feel after conversations? Energized or drained? Connected or disconnected? This tells you if you're communicating well. This is your 30-day transformation. It's structured but flexible. It's challenging but doable. It's uncomfortable but necessary. Commit to it fully. Show up every day. Do the work even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. 30 days of consistent practice will change your communication permanently. Not because you'll be perfect, but because you'll be intentional. And intention changes everything. Real communication transformations. Now let me show you proof that this actually works. Real people who applied these principles and transformed their lives. Not exceptional people. Ordinary people who learned extraordinary communication skills. Case Study 1. Sarah, the shy engineer who became a confident leader. Before, Sarah avoided meetings, never spoke up. Had great ideas but kept them to herself. Got passed over for promotion 3 times because leadership couldn't see her potential. She was invisible. She thought she was just introverted, that this was who she was. The breaking point was losing a project lead role to someone less qualified but more vocal. That hurt. That was the wake-up call. She discovered she was a mirror archetype, over-accommodating, absorbing everyone else's energy, losing herself in the process. She'd been taught as a child that good girls are quiet, that speaking up is rude. That pattern was killing her career. What she did, she practiced hammer communication for key moments, direct, clear, concise. She joined Toastmasters to get comfortable speaking to groups. She started asking questions in meetings instead of staying silent. Just 1 question per meeting, then 2, then contributing ideas. She learned to say no to extra work she'd been dumped with. She stopped being the office doormat. After 6 months, she led a major presentation to executives, nailed it. After 9 months, promoted to senior engineer. After a year, people were coming to her for leadership. Her team looked to her. Not because she became extroverted. She didn't. She's still introverted. But she learned to communicate intentionally. She learned her voice matters. Her advice. Communication isn't about being extroverted. It's about being intentional. You don't have to be loud. You have to be clear. You don't have to dominate. You have to contribute. I'm still me. I'm just a me who speaks up now. Timeline. 6 months to feel different. 1 year to see major career changes. Ongoing practice to maintain and deepen. Case Study 2. Marcus, the aggressive manager who became a respected leader. Before, Marcus was a brilliant asshole. He got results. His team hit every target. But turnover was high. HR had multiple complaints. People were scared of him. His 360 review said, "Brilliant, but brutal." He thought that was fine. Results matter. People's feelings don't. The wake-up call was his boss telling him, "You're getting results short-term by burning people out. Long-term, this doesn't work. You're not getting the next promotion until this changes." That shocked him. He thought being tough made him strong. He realized he was pure hammer. No warmth in the charisma triangle. All power. 0 warmth. He learned radical candor. Care personally while being direct. He practiced active listening, which he'd never done in his life. He started actually asking, "How are you?" and listening to the answer. He gave positive feedback 5 to 1 with constructive. He learned people aren't motivated by fear. They're motivated by feeling valued. After 1 year, team retention up 300%. People stopped leaving. After 18 months, promoted to director. After 2 years, his team voluntarily worked late on a critical project. Not because he demanded it, because they wanted to, because they believed in him. His advice: "I thought being tough made me strong. Being kind while being clear makes you a leader. I'm still direct. I still have high standards. But now people know I care about them, not just results." That changed everything. Timeline. 3 months to start seeing small shifts. 1 year to complete transformation. Ongoing practice because old patterns try to return under stress. Case Study 3. Amanda, the people pleaser who found her boundaries. Before, Amanda said yes to everything. Every request, every demand, every expectation. She was drowning, working 60-hour weeks, resenting everyone, burning out, but couldn't say no. The thought of disappointing someone made her physically ill. The crisis was panic attacks. Her body said no for her. Doctor told her, This is stress. You're going to have a heart attack if you don't change. She was 32. She identified as sage and mirror combo. Conflict avoidant to the core. Learned as a child that love is conditional on pleasing others. That pattern was killing her. She learned the 4-step number. She practiced on small things first. No to coffee, no to after-work drinks. Then bigger. No to extra projects, no to unrealistic deadlines. She used BIFF for difficult emails. She learned guilt is just a feeling, not truth. After 90 days, she felt different, lighter, less resentful. After 6 months, promoted because she was no longer spread so thin. She could focus on what mattered. After 1 year, people respected her more, not less. Her boundaries made her more valuable, not less. Her advice: every no to them is a yes to yourself. Your peace is worth more than their approval. I thought boundaries would make people leave. The right people respected them. The wrong people left. Both were gifts. Timeline: 90 days to feel significantly different. 6 months to become natural. Ongoing practice because people-pleasing is a deep pattern. Case Study 4. James and Lisa, the disconnected couple who reconnected. Before, marriage on the brink. 15 years together. Constant arguments. Both felt unloved, unheard, exhausted. Talking about separation. Therapy was the last attempt before divorce. What they discovered: they had different love languages. He was acts of service. She was quality time. He showed love by providing, working, doing. She showed love by wanting connection, conversation, presence. Both felt empty because they were speaking different languages. They also had all 4 horsemen: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling. Every fight was toxic. What they did: they learned each other's language. He scheduled 30 minutes every evening for undistracted conversation, just talking, just being present. She started acknowledging verbally all he did, thanking him, appreciating him. They agreed to no character attacks, only specific behavior complaints. They practiced repair attempts. They took breaks when flooded. They came back and tried again. After 3 months, breakthrough. They felt like they were dating again. After 6 months, renewed vows. After 1 year, marriage stronger than ever. Not because problems disappeared, because they could communicate through them. Their advice: we weren't bad people. We were bad communicators. The love was always there. We just couldn't reach each other. Learning to communicate saved everything. We wish we'd learned this 15 years ago. Timeline: 3 months to breakthrough. 6 months to feel secure again. Ongoing practice because stress brings back old patterns. Common patterns in all transformations. First, awareness. They couldn't change what they couldn't see. Recording themselves, getting feedback, seeing their patterns clearly. Second, consistent practice. Not perfection. Practice. Showing up even when uncomfortable. Third, discomfort period. New skills feel weird, forced, unnatural at first. They pushed through. Fourth, small wins compound. Each success built confidence for the next challenge. Fifth, relationships improved across the board, personal and professional. Sixth, life satisfaction increased dramatically. Communication affects everything. What they all wish they'd known sooner. This is a skill, not a personality trait. Anyone can learn this. Start earlier. Don't wait for crisis. It's uncomfortable before it's natural. Push through the awkward phase. Your relationships are worth the effort. Every single one. This changes everything. Not just communication. Everything. The truth is, these aren't special people. They're people who decided to stop accepting dysfunction as normal, who committed to growth, who practiced consistently, who learned that communication is the foundation of every good thing in life. You can be next. You can be your own case study. 30 days from now, 6 months from now, 1 year from now, you can look back and see how much has changed. Not because you became a different person, because you learned to communicate like the person you always were inside. The communication revolution. The identity shift. We've reached the end of this masterclass. But this isn't really an ending. It's a beginning. The beginning of a completely different way of connecting with every person you encounter for the rest of your life. Everything we've covered, all the frameworks, all the techniques, all the psychology, it all points to one fundamental truth. You're not trying to communicate better. You're becoming an exceptional communicator. This is not a behavior change. This is an identity transformation. Let me show you what changes when you shift your identity. When you see yourself not as someone who's trying to improve communication, but as someone who is an exceptional communicator. Your relationships deepen. Romantic partners feel heard and understood, not just on the surface, deeply. They trust you with vulnerability because you've proven you can hold it with care. Friendships become more meaningful. You're the person people call when they need to talk, when they need to process, when they need to be truly heard. Family dynamics improve. Old patterns start to break. New ways of connecting emerge. Professional relationships thrive. People want to work with you. They trust you. They respect you. Not because you're perfect, because you communicate with intention and skill. Your career accelerates. Communication is the #1 leadership skill. Period. Leaders who can't communicate can't lead. When you master communication, doors open. Promotions happen. Opportunities find you. Not because you're the smartest or most talented, because you can articulate vision, inspire teams, navigate conflict, build consensus. These are the skills that create leaders. Negotiations become win-win. You get more of what you want while strengthening relationships. You're not manipulating. You're collaborating. You understand interests, not just positions. You create value instead of just dividing it. People want to negotiate with you because they know they'll be heard and respected. Conflicts shrink. Problems get solved faster. You don't avoid difficult conversations. You navigate them skillfully. Less drama, less stress, more resolution. You can disagree without disrespecting. You can challenge without attacking. You can set boundaries without burning bridges. This creates peace in your life. Confidence grows. You show up differently everywhere. In meetings, you contribute. In social situations, you connect. In conflicts, you stay grounded. You're not performing or pretending. You're present and authentic. This is real confidence, not based on being perfect, based on being skilled. Inner peace emerges. You stop ruminating about conversations. You stop replaying what you should have said. You stop feeling guilty about boundaries. You stop worrying about being misunderstood. You communicate clearly in the moment. You repair when needed. You move forward. This creates a quiet inside that most people never experience. This is the ripple effect of exceptional communication. It touches everything. Your income, your relationships, your happiness, your health, your sense of purpose. Everything. Now let me paint the picture of who you're becoming. The person you'll be 1 year from now if you do this work. You walk into a room and people feel your presence, not because you're loud or dominant, because you're grounded and attentive. You listen in a way that makes people feel valued. They tell you things they don't tell anyone else, not because you're a therapist, because you're present. You speak with clarity and confidence, not arrogance. Confidence. You know your voice matters. You trust yourself to navigate any conversation. Difficult conversation with your boss? You can do that. Conflict with your partner? You can handle that. Public presentation to 100 people? You're ready. Not because you're fearless, because you're skilled. You set boundaries with grace. You say no without guilt. You say yes with enthusiasm. You're not overcommitted and resentful. You're intentional and peaceful. People respect you more because you respect yourself. Your relationships are healthier because you're healthier. You influence without manipulation. People want to follow you, work with you, be around you. Not because you're using tricks, because you genuinely care and you know how to show it. You make people feel good about themselves. That's your superpower. This is who you're becoming, not someday. Starting today, with your next conversation, your new identity. I am an exceptional communicator. I listen deeply. I speak clearly. I connect authentically. I navigate conflict skillfully. I influence ethically. I build bridges, not walls. I communicate to serve, not to win. This is who I am. Your next conversation. So here we are, 3.5 hours together. You've learned everything you need to become an exceptional communicator. The psychology, the skills, the tactics, the frameworks, all of it. But here's what matters now. What you do next. In the next hour, have one intentional conversation. Just one. Apply one technique you learned. Maybe it's RASA. Maybe it's the 3-second pause. Maybe it's noticing body language. Maybe it's asking a deeper question. Just one technique, one conversation. Notice what happens. Feel the difference. That's proof this works. In the next 24 hours, 3 specific commitments. First, listen more than you speak in every conversation. Track it. 60% listening minimum. You'll be amazed what you learn. Second, practice the 3-second pause before every response. Every single one. This alone will change how people perceive you. Third, give one genuine compliment to someone. Not flattery, genuine appreciation. Notice what happens when you make someone feel valued. This week, start the 30-day challenge. Day 1 is recording yourself. Do it. It's uncomfortable. Do it anyway. You can't improve what you can't see. Then follow the plan. One day at a time, one skill at a time. Show up even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Also this week, have one difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Use the framework. Start with heart. Use state. Restore safety if needed. This is how you build confidence. Not by avoiding hard things, by doing them skillfully. Say no to one thing. Practice your boundaries. Use the 4-step graceful number. Feel the guilt. Set the boundary anyway. Your peace matters. Ask for one thing you want. Practice advocacy. Practice negotiation. Understand their interests. Make it collaborative. See if you can reach win-win. This month, complete the 30-day challenge. All of it. Every day. Every exercise. This is not passive learning. This is active transformation. You get out what you put in. Go all in. Show up fully. Do the work. This year, become known as an exceptional communicator. Let this be your reputation. The person who listens. The person who can handle difficult conversations. The person who builds bridges. The person who influences without manipulating. The person people want to talk to. Let this become who you are. The resources are available. Download the complete workbook. All the assessments, all the templates, all the exercises, use them. This isn't extra credit. This is the implementation guide, the 30-day challenge tracker, the communication scripts, library, the practice exercises, everything you need to turn knowledge into skill. Join the community. You're not alone in this. Thousands of people are on this journey. Share your wins. Get support. Stay accountable. Practice with others. Growth happens in community. Remember, progress over perfection. You will mess up. You'll have conversations that go sideways. You'll fall back into old patterns under stress. This is normal. This is expected. This is part of growth. Don't let imperfection stop you. Just reset and continue. Self-compassion. Always. Every conversation is practice. Every single one. With your barista, your colleague, your partner, your child, the stranger at the bus stop. Every interaction is an opportunity to practice these skills. Don't wait for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. Start now. Right now. With whoever is in front of you next. Your voice matters. Your words have power. Your communication shapes your reality. The relationships you have, the career you build, the life you live, all of it is fundamentally shaped by how well you communicate. This is not an exaggeration. This is truth. You've just learned what 99% of people never will. You understand communication at a depth most people never reach. You have frameworks and skills that can change your life. But only if you use them. Only if you practice. only if you commit. The person you'll be 1 year from now is being determined by the conversations you have starting today, the choices you make in each interaction. Will you listen deeply or wait to talk? Will you set a boundary or people please? Will you have the hard conversation or avoid it? Will you communicate to connect or to win? These choices compound. These choices create your life. Your future self is watching right now. They're hoping you finally do this. They're hoping you take communication seriously. They're hoping you commit to mastery. Because they know something you're just beginning to believe. Exceptional communication creates an exceptional life. Go have that next conversation. Listen deeply. Speak clearly. Connect authentically. Navigate conflict skillfully. Build bridges. Serve others. That's who you are now. An exceptional communicator. This is not the end of your communication challenges. This is the beginning of your communication mastery.